I can change my whole thing. Alright, so how many t-shirts on which one with?
That's heavy. I got some cream shit. This shit heavy. I like that.
I got one that says trick or treat, like the regular shit. Fix my kicks. It's like a Halloween kicks.
That's fun.
Not that good though. You said I can wear the weird shit. You can wear the weird shit on pants.
Yeah, see, all you need is some type of apparel, right?
Yeah. See how much space I got into.
Like,
Damn! 10,000?
Yeah, I just dropped like 10K also, nigga. I'm about to do a lap again. Because I think there's more other blocks, right?
Yeah, so you got another whole strip. I mean, I don't know if there's one around.
Yeah, you feel me? I don't know. I'm gonna double check.
Yeah, I'm about to
I see niggas.
city.
Yeah, you feel me? I see niggas like running in packs and shit.
I'm gonna check the backside right now.
Double check.
Yeah, it is. It's every store.
Oh, road trick or treat shit.
Yeah, every store. All niggas about to have you in the crib. I got a money backpack. I want to do that on.
That's
Oh
fire.
my god.
You getting some fire shit. I haven't got no fire. I've been getting mad boosts and shit. I don't want no boosts. Nigga, I want clothes and shit.
Oh, that's fire. I have to put on the weight team now.
I did the thing shit. I'm getting at least right now.
I didn't do it yet. I think I did. I think I did already. That's right.
And the Rose banner, that's heavy. I'm gonna throw that shit on.
That's fine. That's dope. Alright, so the only one they didn't put one in so far that I see is in front of the Penn Center and in front of the racetrack. But nah, this is beastie, man. I'm about to call me like my king at home.
Yeah, I'm about to let my son, you know, someone with to tell my son right now.
I'm looking at the dozen BC.
Yo, bro, if you don't want 2K, niggas are giving fucking trick or treat. sun. You know, something with the sun was done right now.
That's fine, that's dope. That's fine, that's dope.
salsa. Hit 'em with that cobra, now that was my phone. Do it with the salsa, boy, they making noise. I don't boy, your pro full of broke boys. Ah, y'all some broke boys. Ah, y'all some broke boys. E, dope boys. We got lots of dope boys. Boy, he's 6 double low. Don't phone it, don't let me pull you roll. Boy, he's 6 double low. Boy, and he keep that pool. Boy, Rari's and Rovers. I can fuck your mama. Mama, the 304. So I swear on they all. Fucking with them old boys, you gon' get fucked over. Rari's and Rovers. These are the Jesus.
That's fine, that's no. Alright, so the only one they didn't put one in so far that season for the defense center and in front of the racetrack. That's fine, that's no. Alright, so the only one they didn't put one in so far.
This shit tweaking. Fuck. Another 1,000 feet.
It's progress.
Alright, then I'm putting on.
My fault.
You was good. You got the point, you know.
And if you're gonna shoot with some of the niggas down there right now, and you really you wanna progress, what the fucking course somebody stupid niggas to me, nigga? If a nigga's looking at me, somebody's recording him, nigga. What the fuck? Rachel says,
Insomniac's Hall of Fame.
and the openly going to take place a year later than the big TV date. That makes sense.
Shut the fuck up and mute me, nigga. It's PS5, not PS2, nigga. What you talking about, nigga? My son has showed you in real life, nigga. My son has showed you in real life, nigga. And no one wants you. Only what we do is eat, nigga. I'm sure. Like I said, it's all just fucking
Nah, I'm not gonna front. Like, I've always said this shit in the back of my head. I don't know how the fuck Kai blew up so bigger than Agent. You feel me? And I don't know if you feel the same way about Agent. You feel me? I just look at these streamers at face value. You feel me? I don't try and like dig into like certain shit in the sense that uh like these niggas is, you feel me, are they really in celebrity level? Yeah, Kai is now, you feel me? But going back to what I was saying, I don't know how the hell Kai is bigger than Agent, you feel me? And I seen Agent fucking for mad long before I even heard of Kai, you feel me? But I feel you. It's just certain shit that, yeah, you take a step back and it's like, how the fuck did he even get this thing to pop off? Like, there's niggas working their ass off, and whether he's a young black man from the Bronx, he's hip, and whether he's probably, you know, a young black man from the Bronx that he's hip and the kids could gravitate. Maybe something was thrown in the mix. I don't know. It's certain shit that, because, you know, like, how the fuck you have certain things like falling for you, and it's like, this shit takes time, and a lot of it, I can't say that his shit was like overnight, because you could see the vines, you could see the shit from back in the day when he was doing comedic, you know, street shit in the sense that it's street content, you feel me, not hood shit, but, you know, so it's like, and then that change, who the fuck knows, you feel me?
I kind of played you the 6ix9ine stuff, and as I said, I believe that Dirt was significantly smarter in how he played the industry. I'm not saying smart overall, but he was smarter in how he was maneuvering. number one, he always made great songs, but getting to the point where the industry accepted him for being a superstar, he was a guy who was disregarded. You gotta imagine, like, if we're thinking about music like the NBA, Dirk was a guy, you know, shit, round 20, no, not round, like he's the 20th pick in the NBA draft, right? And then basically the first 2 years, the first year he does good, the second year not as well, third year, like, you know, he does a certain type of basketball game he played on, so like he gets dropped and he has to play overseas. And he came from overseas, went to the G League and got back in the league. And he's not and he comes in a role player and turns it to be a star for a new team. Like he's now a bona fide star. That's really Dirk's career for him compared to NBA. And he did a lot of it. He's always made great music, but he did a lot of it through knowing how to maneuver, learn when to engage and when not to engage. He engaged with 6ix9ine until he got hotter than 6ix9ine, quote unquote, culturally, right? And as soon as that happened, he wouldn't respond to 6ix9ine anymore. Being a young boy knew how to handle that situation. You know what I'm saying? Seeing the Atlanta thing happening, like there. Seeing that, yo, they were getting off in drill music. Yo, come here, Dej Loaf. Shorty, you might be young. Like, very smart. Just like, you gotta realize, I realize these things from, you know, a media perspective, because I see guys knowing how to move when the changes and the ebbs and flow of the industry is happening. Okay? So, I'm showing you this video with 6ix9ine because 6ix9ine, 2 days before he gets locked up by the feds, just sporadically and erratically just gets to, and by the way, here's the thing too, 6ix9ine it's not like he just knew about the feds. By the way, at that time, the feds had called him in to say, hey, listen, there's a threat on your life. So he knew this before then. There's a threat on his life. He knew this. But that wasn't the first time he knew about the feds. I'll tell you why. He had changed a few people up on the team months before. Straight niggas, not industry niggas. And the driver had hit me and said, yeah, 6ix9ine fired me. And I said, I'm gonna talk to 6ix9ine, I don't know what's up with him. I called 6ix9ine, he's in Dubai. 6ix9ine told me, 6ix9ine says, act. My driver, I fired him. Because I said, why you fired me? He's the coolest guy. Every time I would pull up to the event, he would send the driver to come get me in the door. Say, yo, go get act. Right? He said, so when I asked him, I said, why you fired? I don't want to say something. Why you firing, bro? Like, he's been a good guy, but like, what did he do to you? He said, act, I ain't gonna lie to you. I just found out he's a government informant. This is months before 6ix9ine got locked up. So think about this. If you know this guy's a government informant, that's why you fire him. And by the way, I get to find out, which by the way, that call with me and that nigga, because he was a government informant, was definitely probably, it's on some federal file somewhere, because my stupid ass like, oh nah, I'm gonna call 6ix9ine and try to get you rehired. Why is he trying to get rehired by 6ix9ine? To get more fucking evidence. He ain't trying to drive. What the fuck? His car was the car 6ix9ine got kidnapped in, right? And 6ix9ine kidnapped. And the car was wired like bank car, my nigga. Like, this was played. Like, nigga, this was the car. Shit was wired like bank car. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, this is when he got kidnapped and shit, right? So, that's why he was trying to get back with 6ix9ine. But 6ix9ine, I don't know how he figured out, but he figured out he was government informant. Apparently someone had told him that the dude that got nabbed, because the dude when he hired him was a legal immigrant, he had a family over here. He got nabbed, and the feds put pressure on the driver through ICE saying, hey, we're going to deport you. Because we think you're part of this 6ix9ine crime shit. They knew he wasn't a part of it. The guy's just a driver. He's a Mexican dude who drives. 6ix9ine hired a Mexican guy just because, you don't got no papers. But that's like the many immigrant story. They nabbed the guy. They said, yo, we're going to charge you with a crime and we're going to go deport you. And we're going to get your whole family out of here, too. You ain't never going to see them again. And the guy got smooth because he's not a citizen. He said, how could I help? And they said, well, now that you say that, if you let us bug your car, wire your phone, and wire everything, we might leave you. We might not let ICE get you. And the dude agreed. The dude wasn't doing no crime. He was a driver. So of course, he said, nigga, bug my car. You could. I don't care. Look, that's why the car is bugged up like this, right? This is all feds. Look, you see this video? It's from feds. So, just to show you kind of how the feds, that's why I think they're doing the Co-Conspirator 3. Whoever Co-Conspirator 3 is, who is booking on, oh my God, let me see your American Advantage points, your blah, blah, blah. They go to that person, yo, you about to get get a murder for hire charge too, unless you cooperate. What? All right, cooperate. Right? I mean, so now let's get to Dirk. Right? So 6ix9ine waits months to really start separating himself fully. He gets rid of a couple of guys, moves around different, fires the driver, but he still think he's good. He has Shotty still with him, but then when he goes certain places, he wouldn't have as much gang niggas. He would just get police. So, he's starting to kind of move a little bit different. But, yeah, right? Cool. The only time he significantly changes is 2 days before, and they lock him up 2 days after. And this is after they have the meeting saying somebody about to kill him. Here's the thing with Dirk, right? If we go back to Dirk, now this is going to take a little bit of understanding from y'all, right? Okay. So, Lil Durk, and I'm trying to explain this to y'all. Okay. So, Lil Durk is, OTF. Now, he came in the game as a guy who was OTF, and if you wonder about his relationship with Chief Keef, is that Chief Keef was OD, right? And OTF and Dirk's association and connection to, other than that fact they're BDs, that made them kind of cool, was one central figure, and that figure is going to be Lil Reese. So Dirk comes in, he's OTF, but he's also heavily associated, because some of the niggas who's rolling with him said they're Lamron. Lil Reese is from Lamron, okay? I bet. All is good to said third. And this is my warning to everybody who are street dudes, who are millionaires, and who are successful, who are rappers. What we're going to learn from this Lil Durk situation is the proverbial gangster's fallacy. And what I mean by gangster's fallacy, the gangster's fallacy that you could take all of these guys and bring them to success with you. By the nature of how it works when you're a street dude, all you're going to do is end up using and losing the guys who you so-called claim to bring with you. They might have a hell of a time. You bring them on a couple private jets, bring them to parties, but eventually, by the nature of how shit works, for you to still be considered real, they gotta still be considered in the street. What ends up happening is bail start piling up, people start dying, mothers need shit, other stuff start happening, that the demands of the people who you are trying to bring up, but you're still keeping them there. So you can't have both. You can't be a gangster rapper keeping niggas in the hood to do your hood bidding, but claiming you're bringing them up. Not because you give them a little 20 here, 30 there, bring them to this concert. It doesn't work. We've never seen a rapper that it worked for. Even if we don't talk about it in the gang context, name a rapper who did that and it worked successfully. Even you look at 50 Cent, you see people like, oh my God. What's the dude name? Oh, we're not talking about Shine. Oh, no, not Shine. What's the guy name? Was he deported? What's his name? What's the guy for 50? He used to be like a street dude. What's the guy's name? What's the guy's name? Oh my God, please, tell me. What's the guy's name it's from 50? Bangin' Smurf. Thank you. Bangin' Smurf. Bangin' Smurf in all the early videos, 50 himself used to say, I used to bring 50 niggas on tour with me. But you gotta realize money is finite. Resources is finite. Attention is finite. And what ended up happening is that 50 realized he was not making no money. He had to pay for 50 hotel rooms. He said he had to start sleeping on the floor of the tour bus to show people it was cool to sleep there. Because everybody wanted hotel rooms. You know, in a hotel room going, y'all staying at decent hotels, $150 a piece for a room. Think about that for 25 rooms. Every place, food for everybody, multiple buses. It's gonna cost. So I'm telling you, the gangster rapper fallacy is that you name a gangster rapper that makes it to the top and is still rich, still doing everything. never see all their niggas at the bottom saying, oh, nah, that's the real nigga. It always is fake. So let's now compare. And by the way, Dirk has learned this the hard way. And I think for a long time, especially going up until like 2019 or so, 2020, let's say 2021. And by the way, I'm not here to blame anything on Von, but I do think Von gave Dirk a different perspective of how to be super successful again. Now, Dirk was already gaining a lot of momentum, but when Von came around, he showed Dirk that people were still interested in someone who had a footprint in the streets, but who were still mainstream. This is why, like, you know, with all due respect to some of these rappers, I won't even call their names, even though some of them I don't care about. Their wave as a gangster rapper died. The music don't seem as meaningful. That's what I'm saying, the gangster rapper fallacy. The music don't seem as meaningful anymore, or as real. Unless you're somebody who has, like, you beat a body or something like that, because they don't think you're like that. But if you're a type of nigga who been claiming your niggas and, yo, we this gang, you gotta always be associated with them, and you can't bring enough of them to the place where y'all are all good to ever leave it. So at some point, they will turn against you, or you have to separate, unless you have the same fate. So let me paint this out for you. So Dirk, who supposedly was, initially, he's OTF / Dog Pound. Dog Pound is, his brother D-Thing had the connection there. But then they get into it, we're not getting into it. He becomes affiliated and he's hanging with these guys from Lamron. That's where Reese and them is from. And was very interesting, and I'm going to give you some timeline you might not know. I feel like I'm back in like Warner Chirac. I ain't gonna lie, because this is only some shit I would know back in Warner Chirac. What ends up happening is that when Keith leaves Chicago, here's the story on Keith leaving Chicago. The story is that supposedly Keith, as he's elevating, isn't paying his bidding to the gang niggas.
Oh my God.
Okay?
Oh,
All of the BDs,
God.
they're hitting them like, yo, we got locked up. And this comes with being a gangster rapper. Oh, you got somebody who slaps people for you? You got somebody who gon' slide for niggas for you? Well, they get locked up. Alright, yo, we need 40,000 for bond. We need 50,000 for this lawyer. Yo, my mama don't got nothing. Yo, she just got fired. Yo, could you give her like 10 bands? It's a lot of money. You gotta keep money. But it's all good when you're thriving. It's all good when you're thriving. Here's the thing. The more time goes on, the more niggas become locked up. This is the fallacy. More niggas become locked up. As a rapper, you have no use for a nigga that's locked up. Yet, you still owe them. You still gotta pay for their bond. Get their mama something. Pay for their brothers and sisters to go to school, do fits, this and third. You gotta pay a bond if there is. You gotta pay for a lawyer. But you need new niggas. So there's new niggas that's now on the team. So you get some new niggas. Maybe from the same hood, the same block, whatever. Now, they eventually go to jail. Your bill just starts to become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, here's the fallacy. So here's the thing with Keith allegedly. They said that Keith ultimately started slacking a bit. Yo, Keith, we need this bond. Yo, Keith, we need this. Keith was just like, I'm not saying he wouldn't do it, but he was just kind of lackadaisical with it. It becomes a story that at one point, the homies, the big homies for like the BDs, they call from jail and say, yo, we need this paid. Okay? And apparently, Keith told him he ain't got it. Maybe Keith was feeling himself with his newfound power, fame, and the money he has. But apparently Keith started trolling a little bit. Go online and allegedly was, there's an infamous live where he's like, yo, yeah, I ain't got it, but he had the money in his hand. He was like throwing around money in his hand. I probably can't find it. But he was basically saying, I ain't got it. Right? People in Chicago, or those guys, again, these are the guys who put in work for you. The majority of rappers that we see, not King Von, ain't killers like that. Not say they ain't bust their gun, not say they're not gangsters too. But even if you bust your guns, you need other niggas who bust their guns. You can't kill everybody, right? Or you you're not just gonna be seen as a menace if you're a one-man army, right? So apparently after Keith does that, them niggas said, oh, you think he killed himself? Now remember the whole thing where they said Chief Keith's home was robbed? Okay? No, not here. It's way back. It's before we left. Anyway, Chief Keef moves to the suburbs. It's the one with Boss Top, okay? It's the one with Boss Top, right? Allegedly, they realized Chief Keef think he's bigger than the program. Since Chief Keef was not going to pay up voluntarily, and this is alleged, I could be wrong. I'm just saying what was said. They say a bunch of BDs. It was never the ops. It was never nobody. A bunch of BDs ran down in Chief Keef's crib with guns, and they took everything. They took every jewelry. They said, nigga, since you're not paying up for the guys who locked up, taking everything. Okay? Now, I don't know how that was fully, solved or, if he, whatever. But that was the moment, significantly, that everybody from Chicago tells me Chief Keef was out of Chicago. He's done. When your own gang is robbing you, basically, again, the gangster rapper fallacy. Now, a part of that is Dirk. Or not part of that is Dirk, but Dirk seen that, and by the way, there's some little tension with Dirk and Keith. But Dirk would kind of almost drop little hints there to say, yo, you said niggas' names in your song and got them hot. Now you won't pay the bond. Dirk was taking the other route. Dirk notoriously was spending a shit ton on everybody around him, paying for their shit. Who need a lawyer? Take this. Who need this? Take this.
God.
Keith got out of Dodge and said, you know what? I'm good. I'm LA now. Y'all got it over there. Dirk is moving around and he's like, yo, I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to take care of the guys. Got to take care of the guys. Taking care of Rhino number 9. Making sure anybody else, B-Rose, whoever else, I bet we got y'all, whatever. We got y'all for whatever. Remember, Rhino number 9 come home Christmas. It's good for a while. Especially when Dirk started getting back. There's a time that he was in the best position. When he started getting back, cool. And by the way, I think he probably looked at it like, damn, this is making sense because the strength that he had in Chicago was helping him in how he was viewed optically. Because he's seen as a super street nigga. Bet. She's moving around. A lot of the old block stuff is kind of separated. But Vaughn comes in. Vaughn represents old block kind of coming in. This is why you see even Boss Top come back around. Because when I interviewed King Vaughn, Boss Top is in the back. Boss Top, Vaughn, old block. So now, Keith got Chicago, at least some of the main places. He's already fucking with the Lamron niggas already. And then he gets O Block through Vaughn. Cool, right? Then we start to see some of the things start happening, which include, obviously we know Vaughn dies. So now a lot of that support goes away. But then, as well, a lot of things start happening where, and you'll notice about a year or two ago, there were videos that came out, or actually, no, it was about 2 years ago, right? This is right after Vaughn died. You start seeing Dirk start moving away from some of the Lamron niggas, or at least Lamron, himself. And he started rocking with some other dudes, and they come into the picture called Tay-Town. To put it in perspective, you're going to see it in some of these videos very clearly. If you look at, let me name some videos. Aha. remember, this is after the death of D-Thing. Remember, allegedly somebody slid. But this is shot in Tay-Town territory. Okay? Back in Blood, I believe, was in O-Block. But you start seeing him kind of move away from Lamron and go to Tay-Town. And this is what some people believe that's Durk knowing, some people are starting to become disgruntled with him from that area. Remember, Durk had been handling, at first he was taking a stand saying, yo, you can't leave your niggas out here to die. You got to take care of this, take care of that. Some people start feeling ignored. There was a time, and this is 2 years ago, that they said Durk was banned from Lamron. Remember, the Lamron dudes used to be his guys. Here this go.
Yo, y'all.
Okay, I'm gonna play it. Said Durk can't, this is what one of the Lamron dudes said. Durk can't come on his block until he apologized for being a bitch. Okay? Then, here we go.
Hey, when you spoon feed to me, man, if you not getting go something they on the board.
Okay, I don't want to play this guy's voice. Here's the point. Durk essentially starts going subliminals at a lot of dudes on Lamron. So we see that rift. That's around the time he starts going and rocking with Tay-Town dudes. You get what I'm saying? So, they were acting like he's banned from Lamron. Now, what happened there? And this is where,
That's a team on me.
actually, let me play. I didn't see this.
That's one of my little shorties. He from the.
So it's that Lil Reese reacts to remember Lil Reese is from Lamron. Lil Reese reacts to leak Lil Durk, Lamron member accused of telling.
Good.
Now, the reason why some people feel like you haven't seen Reese and Durk around each other as much is that Reese has been put in like this really interesting position where some of the people from where he's from ain't fucking with Durk no more. But him and Durk probably don't have no bad blood towards each other. So even this interview you're gonna watch.
When he had some complaints about Durk and their relationship and the fact that he kind of stopped them at a certain point. Like, what's your perspective on that?
I don't got no perspective on that though. Like,
Playing it neutral.
I mean, that's how you feel. So shit, that's just how you feel.
How often was he with Durk back in the day? Like, was y'all?
He was around. He was
Yeah.
around,
I seen pictures of him and Durk in the car. Like he used to be
around.
riding around with him a lot.
Yeah, he was around. He was around. For sure, he was around.
So Poodlemore Lamron.
Yeah, Poodle Lamron, yeah. For sure, he Lamron.
It's like all right, let's talk about it. There's like a snippet that's going around. Like Durk got a song called Survivor, but it's kind of like a Lamron diss song. Like he on there saying,
Okay, so Durk drops a song, and as much as the thing why Durk music is always hit with everybody who loves the Chicago shit, Warren Chiracology stuff, Durk don't be just rapping the rap. Like, bro, Meek Mill be rapping the rap. Durk is rapping about real shit. You feel what I'm saying? And a lot of people that's really just tapped in, they're like, oh shit, like this is some real stuff that this nigga's rapping about. For example, this. So while he's going through these issues with the block he was rocking with for a while, he starts dissing himself and then he previews a song. And here we go. Check this out, chat. He's dissing those guys. You know, what people don't realize is that when Durk's dissing, Durk be saying, not like, listen.
I gave you 100 thing, give a sleeve, Jesse please. Act like you so solid, but you been the cheese. Rachel please.
So he said somebody's acting like they so solid they been the cheese.
I'm the wrong shit money, nigga, go check receipts. Me and Boom, so Rachel please. I'm the wrong shit money, nigga, go check receipts.
I'm the nigga who sent money. Remember, I keep telling you this, the gangster fallacy. Durk is on the song validating himself, saying, yo, nigga, I'm the one who been sending bread, bro, what's up? They're feeling away, they feel ignored. Some guys who got locked up, some guys who got shot, they feel ignored. Durk is reminding them, yo, I've been sending y'all bread. I've been holding y'all down. Remember, this is ironic because he kind of called out, a cop called out Chief Keef for kind of leaving some of his homies to die. So now, this came back around against, he's dropping people's name. Murder, man, he's dropping people's name. Man. So he could have got shot in my back, but they was too scared because Lil Rob shot for me. He's talking about people used to be. Hey, well, wolves, I just don't speak on y'all. You niggas live as sheep. Nigga, I'm a provider. You did the interview, just show receipts. He says, nigga, I'm a provider. He did the interview, just show receipts. You did the interview, just show receipts. Yeah, I'm rap, I gotta forget who I was when Luffy lost his knee. So he's talking about, cleaner version of this here. And essentially he's almost saying, he says, yo, you could have shot me in my back. Basically saying, y'all niggas was going to backdoor me or so could have backdoored me. You get what I'm saying? So he's talking about guys he used to hang out with. Here we go. 100 thing, kill a sleeve, Jesse please. Act like you so solid, but you bit the cheese. You bit the cheese, Rachel please. I'm the one who sing. I think with Dirk, he be really mentioning people. Money. I think he got this from Bond. Is that Lil Rob? I don't know who these niggas are. Back in blood on the same block they said he couldn't come on. Wait, where did he shoot back in blood from home? Back in blood. I thought that was. I think he shows a street at the beginning, don't it? That's just an old block. Interesting. Okay. Now, let me give y'all some more. So then, you got your old niggas, your old goons, feeling away. They felt you left them. Now you gotta remember the YSL Woody. There's a YSL Woody matrix that's happening. Street niggas don't like to feel used. Just like a girl that you fuck for one night and never hit her back up, she don't want to feel used. Right? Especially when they think they're that close to like being there with you. They're on a jet with you. They're backstage with you. Now they're back in the hood. Some people felt Dirk was taunting them. So Dirk started fucking with the Tay-Town dudes. And some of the dudes from Lamron flew away. Here we go. So Dirk said he gave $500,000 to Tay-Town and them. He went up in a comment section of somebody's live. He's not even on live. It says $500K to Ken them high-speed wheelchair music. Okay? So, this is making the last niggas he was feeling with feel crazy. What? Yo, Dirk giving these niggas a bag? Yo, what about us? Gotcha. So then, there's some type of, response. Got this guy who's from Lamron. His name is Buddha. He put this up on his Instagram. This is Dirk who took a picture. I think it's on Lamron. And he puts a clown picture of a Dirk face and the rest of the faces. This is when you start seeing all the hood niggas start saying, fuck Dirk, you can't come over here, blah, blah, blah. Nigga, I dare you to pop, like, all type of shit. That start happening, okay? Then, hold on. Then, this guy, Buddha, does an interview. And he kind of breaks it down a little bit more. And this is where, like, Adam 22, I really got to say, I think it's more Remo. Remo gave these niggas the biggest platform. Here we go. So this guy, Buddha, and that's why, that's why people thought Dirk was messing with him. Because when he said gave $500K to Ken and them, real high-speed wheelchair music, this guy's in a wheelchair, okay? So the guy goes to No Jumper and listens to this conversation. Okay? This is one of those. I'm gonna take a picture real quick.
So that's how Dirk was like affiliated with Dog Pound or whatever.
He was Dog Pound. He was Dog Pound before he was
Living there, or
No, he stayed there.
Yeah, living there.
Stayed right there on 72nd.
word. So he lived in Dog Pound, Tay-Town, and Lamron.
I don't think Dirk had no crib and but
Right, probably ain't
he
lived.
lived there.
Like, he was,
He grew. He had a relationship with Tay-Town first, and that's how he migrated to our hood type shit. He was best friends with Tay-Ski and Didi. So the reason they say Tay-Town, that was one Dirk Rappy type shit.
Yeah.
That's how he ended up down there. You know, us and D-Town been clicked with each other, and that's how you know everything came about.
So then where did it go bad where you and Dirk kind of not like seeing eye to eye? Because the first thing I seen, I think I was going back and forth on Instagram Live or some shit. I think.
Yeah, it's goofy ass get on my line. Piss me off.
And this was before you dropped the diss song?
Way before.
Alright, so yeah, because you was on live and shit, and I guess said they had gave y'all like 500,000 or some shit.
Nah, he said he gave that to Fool and I'm sure you know.
He was just saying some troll and shit saying that.
Yeah, so he ain't give out 500,000? He just talking.
I don't know, he down there. I don't see nobody with it.
It was like some joke
like
and shit. It was some troll and shit, like, you know.
Who he said he gave it.
Now, some of y'all might be saying, all right, this is good info, but we don't know what this means. This is the point I'm trying to say. The gangster fallacy requires you to keep elevating. As the gangster rapper fallacy is, you think you're going to keep elevating, but you're going to recycle dudes. And when I mean recycle dudes is that dudes are going to naturally go to jail. Some are going to die. The families of them are going to be whatever. They're going to get incarcerated. They're going to rely on you. And if you think you could ever leave these guys in terms of not take care of them, and the thing about taking care of them is how well do you take care of them? Because you might be like, damn nigga, I just gave y'all like 50,000 or 20,000. They might want a little bit more. Because to them, I did a lot for you. I punched a nigga in his jaw for you. I slid for you. What ends up happening is that when you see a situation like this and y'all say, damn, a nigga told on Dirk. You see why that shit happens? And I'm not saying that that's exactly why it happened. But it's impossible to have this be too successful for too long, because everybody at some point gonna feel left out, feel disregarded, feel away. Same thing with YSL Woody. Woody felt that from Doug. Why did Woody tell? The gangster rapper fallacy. Okay, when you close to him, you get locked up, or you get jammed up, or he finds somebody else he fuck with, or a bigger killer or a bigger shooter. He start rocking with him more. Now you back in the hood. You don't get taken on that tour. You don't get that like 1,500 every week. Now, like, yo, your baby mama saying, damn, what happened? I thought Thug fuck with you. Yeah, nah, I'm gonna text him. Yo, we need this for this. Now I'm gonna text him. You text him, he don't respond. You get what I'm saying?
Me too, it don't look like it.
Like, not no troll and shit.
So, they're reacting. This guy's in a wheelchair. This guy don't even have a fucking lineup. This nigga look like he been wearing this white shirt for forever, nigga. Like, look at how this nigga came to the interview. These niggas are now reacting to Adam or Remo asked him a question. So you think Dirk gave them other niggas 500,000? Because you know they don't got it. So now, you don't think that made them feel away? Because Dirk is commenting that shit.
But like,
You hear me?
oh, dang.
He gave it to them like they need help.
Nah, hell no, ain't no, hell no.
No fucking way, bro.
500,000. And the people he gave it, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm
This just shows you the streets, man. And it's easy to get drunk, power drunk, when it don't take that much to control people. But here's the thing, you start building up bills you gotta pay for life. Otherwise, shit, and here's the thing too. You don't only have to pay for maybe they did something for you and now you paying for their lawyer and their bond. And I'm not talking about murder, I'm just talking about like they beat somebody up or whatever, right? Now, when they get out and they go rob somebody and they get caught, they gonna hit you like, yo, we need bond money. When they go get shot because they got beef in the hood with some other niggas, they gonna hit you, yo, we need you to pay the hospital bill. So you can understand as the rapper, you're like, yo, bro, what the fuck this got to even do with me? Like, what the fuck? Yo, we need 30, bro. We need 30, bro. Like, yo, they just locked up. Why you locked up? Man, he went to that party. He was into it with so-and-so. And I ain't gonna lie, he shot that nigga in the parking lot, bro. The whole time you think, what the fuck this got to do with me? You better get up off that 30 grand. Because that nigga gonna start feeling resentment for you.
Oh, what you talking about? Nah, I ain't. The question was, did he even find out? No.
But so what actually started you guys having issues though? I couldn't really get to the bottom of it when I was going through shit.
I ain't gonna lie, with me and Dirk, it been with me and him, it's different. Like
Here we go. Here we go. This is every street nigga and super successful gangster rapper story. You're gonna hear it right now.
with him, I ain't not with him for the same reason everybody else not with him type shit. Like it's more personal with me. Like I was with him, dealt with him. Yeah. It's like he was coming for me, calling for me every day while I'm on my feet. Like he looking at me as an asset type shit. He making sure I'm around. He making sure I'm with him. I get shot, get paid last time.
He's saying Dirk hit me up every day till I got paralyzed. And when I get paralyzed, he ain't got no more use for me. Well, now is the time I need help the most. I'm in a wheelchair. I need this, I need that. My mama need this, my mama need that. I can't provide it no more. I'm in a wheelchair. I need you now, bro.
The most calls stop coming through, stop, you know. And he hit me on some shit like he apologized, all that other shit, but shit, right after that, ain't shit get better, you know. Shit,
Like,
was what it was.
like how he just said he was looking at them, like I gotta get some of this shit. I wanna do that shit. Like how he actually got with that shit. You know what I'm saying? He grabbed me. You get what I'm saying? Like on the road, like you feel me? What to do?
I
Like
mean, on tour, all type of shit, like.
he actually got with it. That's why I'm like,
So when was y'all like, yeah, when was you Dirk really rotating heavy? Like, what year is this? When he really got you around?
When I got older, like he started coming to get me like 2015 type shit. Yeah, like 2016 is just kidnapped me and shit. We just gone.
And this is
he
before.
grabbed him and moved her.
Yeah, grabbed me and
Grabbed him and moved her. You know what I'm saying? And she basically.
They said we was on tour, we performed the unreleased song. That shit wasn't even out. He just getting the feel of it type shit. Shit, he's finna get the paperwork and shit together, but you know, everything. I came home. I'm still in the streets doing what I do. I get shot, moved, got locked up, and shit, you know. Shit just went down here.
And what year did you get shot?
I got shot end of 2016, December.
Can you break down what happened that day?
Regular ass day. I'm going, my mama tell me go to the store, get us something to eat. Grab a car, go grab something to eat. Go to the gas station, cause phone wanted to get some blunts and shit. Random car that was just sitting in that motherfucker.
I see somebody said Dirk probably gave his people a lot. He did. Dirk did more for street niggas in Chicago than any rapper I know did for anybody. But the problem is you can't do it for life. And you can't do it for everybody. It's never about the 9 times you said yes. It's the 1 time you said no. Oh, yo, you used to hit me up every day when you wake up at 9 o'clock. Now I text you, take 3-4 days to respond. Maybe you respond in 2 weeks. Bro, I don't even need you no more. I don't even need you for that whatever I texted you for. Damn. Oh, you treat me like a side bitch. Like, I'm not saying me niggas and women, but this is like that's how people's mentalities are feeling. Damn, you already said, man, 2016, I think like kidnapped me. I'm with him everywhere. I'm on tour. I'm going everywhere. So now he gets shot. Let's see how shit change.
Got the thorn. You know, we did what we did. I got hit. That shit was just like that. You know, I was finna come home, though. I was finna bring my mama her food.
Damn.
Down the street from our crib. Right by the crib, 3 blocks away.
So what happened? The ambulance came?
Man, I ain't gonna lie, I faded. I'm right there. I ain't know my lungs collapsed. I'm just sitting. My brother who got shot with me, just right there telling me breathe type shit. Ambulance finally come. I feel it's like I knew my mama. It's like I heard my mama. Seeing he can't breathe, I raised my hand to try to let her know I'm still there. But when I got on the ambulance, that shit, they said I just went out type shit. They know they had to bring me back type, all that goof ass shit. I was in ICU for like 2 weeks. Then they sent me to inpatient therapy.
Was that the first shootout you ever got in?
Nah, I've been shot before that.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I got shot in my foot twice, like 4 months before that. Like in August, summertime.
And the last time you got shot, how many times did you get shot? And where at?
My back, I got hit once. I got hit once on my back. Shot in my spine, and it just stuck down there, my lower back on the left side. I still got a bullet in my foot from when I got shot in my foot.
Bro, you're saying you got shot another time again after?
Yeah, but then, after I came home, I had to go right back to the hospital. Kid had a baby on the way when I got shot. My baby mom was 2 months pregnant.
See, when you got street niggas, you inherit their issues with them. He got a baby moms. You know his baby mom, anytime he get in an argument with his baby moms, your baby mom's gonna say, nigga, why don't you hit up Dirk for that shit? Knowing that Dirk probably ain't respond to him in like a month. So you're not gonna start feeling crazy.
Shit, like everybody The ones that you see with me, those ones that was there. My mom. I found out I had a baby on the way when I got shot. My baby mom was 2 months pregnant. I'm dealing with this and being finna be a father. So that shit was crazy.
Did you know the whole time you were in the hospital that you weren't gonna be able to walk again, or were they?
Okay. So what I seen, all right, you had dropped. What's the bat? That's the name of the song, right?
Yeah, what's the guy?
Damn.
Thanks.
Cause the nigga OTL Twin, I think he was the first person to respond. He had said some shit.
I ain't even know that was gonna speak
Oh,
up.
bro, he wild
He
as hell.
surprised me.
He said,
I'm damn. That's that know me, you know.
Where you from? You from Lamron?
From 6 foot flags and from North, born and raised.
So it's kind of like y'all block kind of like split up a little bit. It seemed like
No,
some
they
niggas
go
with
ahead
dirt
and
and then some.
got gravitate to the money.
Yeah.
Everybody else, we still together. We a family. Everybody else.
So essentially, he said like maybe when a couple people like picked the money, which is Dirk, and they started telling me, "Shut the fuck up, nigga." You know what I mean?
I'm still out. It's just, we got them certain for probably went to jail, Dirk and us, they come home and they just want to go with the money and shit.
So you're saying that Dirk tore the block apart?
No, we still together. He can't do that. He ain't got enough power to do that. We still together.
How come Reese and Dirk, we don't see them together anymore?
That's his, but you gotta ask Reese. I don't know.
It's not very
Reese
forthcoming.
always do his own thing, so whatever he doing, shit, that's just how he feel. Gotta ask him.
For sure.
I ain't get Reese back on him. He got all type of shit. Oh man, you ain't gonna fuck with nobody behind closed doors. If you fuck with Dirk, you'll see it. Whatever they got going on, that's them. That's it.
Because the thing is, like, Dirk's probably the hottest he's ever been. You know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of got like a life with the music shit ever since like him and Dirk did the song. It kind of like turned his career back up.
Drake, you mean?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, Drake did the song.
Ain't
So
gonna
it's
lie.
like,
Going crazy. I love to see it though.
yeah, so it's like, that's why people confused, because they would think, like, since he just reached, like, a new level of fame, that he would be fucking with niggas like y'all, and
That's so
Reese and
crazy,
shit,
though.
and now he ain't.
At the Vaughn dad type shit, I remember he deactivated his page. He ended up texting my phone out the blue, random as hell, like, little bro, only reason I had his number saved, I had that same iCloud type shit.
He's talking about Dirk.
Hey man, he be like, I'm sorry. He I ain't been myself, like, I'm finna get my shit, let me show my little brother get some money. I tell him, like, hey man, that's your shit. Come on, motherfucker waiting on you. He, alright, man, I'm sorry, little bro, love you too. He chopping up after that. Blue Shots came out, he started telling me pop out to the video shoot. Shit, right after that shit went back to how it was,
Which video shoot? The Back in Blood video?
You're in that video?
I was there, they ain't even put me in that. I know.
Yeah.
I ain't see.
Well, he said.
So what I see,
So this guy is saying that wait, was he in the Back in Blood? So basically, he said that he's still waiting on Dirk. He said Dirk kind of like almost makes him feel like he about to get back in, locked in with him. But he said pretty much Dirk would text him a couple times and just stop mentioning, stop responding afterwards type shit. I don't know. Is he in there? Do you see? He's in a wheelchair. I don't know if we see somebody in a wheelchair in there. Do we? I don't know if we see. That's not him. Is it? Nah, I don't know. Anyway.
I didn't see me in that.
Back in Blood video.
what is it? They shot that one in Memphis, right?
No, we shot that in the
Oh, that was an Oklahoma, yeah.
No, they shot that in
Oh,
the Tay-Town. We shot that in Tay-Town.
Okay.
Shot that on 59.
Where do you shoot the
Watch
video?
the bitch, watch
On
it.
59.
And where's that? Is that? That's Lamron,
That's
Tay-Town?
Tay-Town.
But you're saying that after you went to that video shoot, that you guys just
Somebody
stopped
get
communicating?
somebody.
Shit just went
What
back
the
how it was, I ain't, it just went how it was.
Luca, baby, come on, I need you.
You tap in every couple months type shit. But it ain't shit though.
But why are you on the, like, the whole fuck them niggas type of...
That's the troll. You saying fuck everybody that's with me. You steady saying my name. You know we don't fuck with each other. Why is you steady bringing me up? Then you get on my Instagram trolling, talking all type of crazy shit. I know how to play this. You wanna keep saying me? I'm finna use that. Turn up off your dumb ass.
What do you say on Instagram?
Bunch of nothing. Sending fake threats and all that other shit. Somebody the reason motherfuckers safe and all that other shit. Shit ain't about nothing though.
Yeah. So it's not just over no money, though? It's deeper than that?
Ain't nothing.
A lot of niggas be thinking that y'all niggas
That's
just
what's blowing me.
They
I
think,
can't even respond to that type of shit because they'll never understand. You gotta be a part of this shit to know.
I seen two different things that they say on the internet. They saying that y'all niggas is jealous that he ain't signed y'all niggas and get y'all some money. Then there's another situation where niggas saying that y'all was mad because he signed Lil Zay Osama and them.
Hey,
Alright, anyway. So you get to realize basically what's it seem like in Chicago? They're looking at like, oh, Dirk jumping from hanging with Lamron niggas who probably was doing shit, because again, Dirk's a millionaire, very visible. Dirk can't slide for himself, and Dirk can't be like the muscle or whatever. They're saying I went from Lamron to like these other guys. There's Tay-Town, and even Tay Savage, who's not Tay-Town, but he spoke on, because he's cool with the Lamron dudes. He basically said,
saying, but he ain't really know nobody who was at the time. No, you know what I'm saying? Like with that shit.
That like basically like you see what's going on type shit, like watching motherfuckers. And I remember when he first came home, he was like shouting out during the hotel.
okay. So around that time, you get Tay Savage basically almost confirming the rift.
So yeah, his own shit, his own. We studying that shit, gang. Like we studying the pictures and all that, just like they is.
That's what I was gonna ask, like, cause I just, this is crazy to say, I just saying like, Dirk mentioned some shit like that, like basically like, you see what's going on type shit, like, watch out motherfuckers. And I remember when he first came home, he was like shouting out during the hotel and shit like that, like that relationship, you don't really have it no more or something.
That relationship, really. Dirk was with them, so
That's also the key. So you get to realize there's a time that Dirk, he starts getting into religion, but that's when a lot of people start feeling Dirk is not only distancing himself from, he's distancing himself from kind of everybody, but most notably the people in Lamron are feeling it,
But the best for him, shit, but yeah, like I said, I fuck with the land, whatever they on type shit.
So when situations like that happen, like, are there ever people like in between trying to like prevent certain things or
It be a lot of that.
So
kind of when situations like that happen,
heard
like,
what he said fuck with Lamron.
Dirk moves with them, so I really but the best for him, shit, but like I said, I fuck with the land, whatever they on type shit.
Okay.
So when situations.
Okay, so you pretty much, you get to realize there's some type of rift that's kind of happening there. Now, just to kind of put everything together when it comes to that is that the reality is this, man. As much as some of y'all are very shocked that maybe somebody's cooperating or whatever, it's impossible to keep these street dudes happy. Even if you're the guy who pays and do whatever, and you're trying to, look out for everybody. Because at the end of the day, just like how this Buddha guy said, it's like, he said it directly, and this is why there's a constant, regurgitation or like recycling of street dudes is that, when you get paralyzed, respectfully, you have no use. If they're seeing you as muscle, you're kind of no use, right? Now maybe I got a personal relationship with you, and by the way, shout out to like Barney, Barney fucks with Dirk, but like some of these guys, like no, right? So anyway, here's the point. Unfortunately, I do believe Dirk kind of moving around, fucking with these guys here, fucking with these guys here, these guys get mad at him, whatever. Also then he distance himself a little bit from backing up from everything, because in the last year, and this is why I said maybe Dirk knew about this completely, because even with the Tay-Town dudes, right? Like, you started seeing, normally how you see Dirk move around and with dudes, you saw Dirk a little bit less in the last year, and what that kind of told you is that, he was doing a lot of the stuff with, I'm a Muslim now, his dad is around more than you see with the guys. Maybe it wasn't just him finding food. Maybe it was him realizing like, and you hear from some of these snippets where he's saying, I hear you telling, I hear you telling, I hear you telling. And he's basically saying, I'm the provider, I'm this. He started backing up from people and probably realized like, this shit gonna come down crashing. Let me get out of Dodge now. But he can't get out of Dodge like AKA run. Let me start changing the narrative. I'm getting closer to God. I'm spiritual now. I'm starting communities, programs for the kids. I'm doing all type of things, and essentially, these are the things that are going to result in maybe affecting if I get brought down with some of this shit later. I'm donating to the mayor. I'm doing this and third. So, if you ask me, I think Dirk knew from a year ago that there's some bad seeds and there's some people who he used to fuck with that are getting into trouble. And you gotta imagine, if you're a shooter and you get into trouble, right? You get into trouble. When you go down, when you get interrogated, the first thing they're gonna say to you is that we know what you did. Only way you can save us, you gotta give us someone more attractive. Someone who's a sexier catch. And unfortunately, I think that's Dirk Banks. And this has been for a while. So for him, he was like, let me try to change that narrative that it wouldn't incentivize, especially Chicago police or law enforcement to go after me. But that didn't, that's not what ended up happening. The feds came. Okay? Okay. Very interesting day. Y'all are spamming up the thing, but I want to be very factually correct anytime I say some stuff. Hold up. Just give me a second, Chad. I know. I'm hearing a few things. Hearing a few things. Kinda don't know. Just give me 1 second. Hold on. I see what y'all spamming. Trying to, again, at this point, we don't have a thirst to try to be first. What we do is we have a thirst to be more accurate, right? No matter when we report it at this point, we the biggest, right? Give me 1 second. Hold on, right. Let me see. Let me see what's going on here.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Wack?
No, I never met you. What up, bro? We live. What's the word, brother?
Listen, people tell me there's a lot going on. Everything's happening all over the place. They say, yo, you gotta call Wack. Wack's the ear to the streets, the exposures, know the truth. What's going on?
I mean, we on here 8 deep. Lee's Marco's been trying to loop Barry Reggie right here. My man, John, Ghost, you know what I'm saying? Prince. I mean, we've been lying about 2 hours. What's going on?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I'm seeing Flocka reports of news. I had to come to you to try to clarify.
What did we report?
He's a mentioned something about Rap-A-Lot and Jay Prince.
Damn, Flacco, you went up already. What? Flacco might be online. Well, this is what I got. From my sources while I was on here, they just sent this to me. It says, breaking news, the feds just raided Rap-A-Lot Records office and residents throughout Houston and islands in Belize tied to hip-hop mogul Jay Prince. I don't know. They just sending it to me. So this dude, he sends me all, he the one sends me the loaded dice and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I hope it didn't happen. But that's what they say. Hold on, no.
That might be cap though. Because, I mean, I don't know what Jay Prince and them would be into. It seemed like they do pretty legit shit.
Wait. You don't know what Jay Prince gonna be into.
Everything I see with them is legit. They own a bunch of businesses. They you know.
Listen to me. The fans has been on Jay Prince for 30 years. He just was such a successful at just beating them out their own game. Me personally, I don't think he's doing anything wrong. He's a successful businessman, you know. We got our little issues, but who knows what people are saying, what they know. I don't know. That's just what they say. Like, you know, but he has been, you know, how to make money in for like 30 years. And you know when you defeat the feds like that, you know how that goes.
That'll be interesting.
Who's this, you know?
Okay, I don't know, Chad. I'm gonna go with no. But again, you know, I see a few people have hit me and they said, nah, that's not true. They said no feds have raided Jay Prince. So that might be just a Trojan horse. Who knows? I think people are watching this whole 6ix9ine thing unravel. Well, like 6ix9ine got picked up by the feds. We know Dirk got picked up by the feds. And people are trying to, you know, just throw shit in the mix. Hoping or speculating that this is happening for real, right? Nah, I'm not buying that at all. I'm not buying that at all, man. Also, I'm gonna be a little bit like I think after spending like 2-3 decades avoiding the feds, I don't think the first time they come catch up with you is 2024. Because I would think that at least at this time, like even if you were doing any bullshit, like you'd probably do the least amount now. So I don't know. Now, granted, we do have to put just a disclaimer in the air. Wack do not get along with Jay Prince, right? So we don't get along with Jay Prince. However, Wack is not known to lie. That's a fact. He's not known to lie, nor is he known to make up stuff, especially if it can be proven otherwise. And I guess he's going off on a source. And the reason why I'm gonna say we're gonna wait is that Wack is not standing on it. He's saying, "I heard this. The guy has been accurate before, allegedly, but I'm not stamping it." So it might just be all BS. It might be BS. Somebody says, listen to Back Again and listen to the first line, Back Again lyrics. Blast his ass. I don't even ask when it come to cash. They catch him, blast his ass. I don't even ask when it come to cash. Jam, get out that jam. I give you 50. You gotta ask again. He was catching murders way back then. That's when the Mac was in. I don't drink that red or the green. Whatever. Jeez. Yeah, I'm not. I'm pretty sure I got some people in Houston. I know a few people in Houston. Let me get like a roll. I'm gonna just withhold my thoughts on that. Okay? I'm gonna withhold my thoughts on that. Y'all think that the Fed's doing a sweep? It's kind of ironic. Everybody keep getting locked up, right? It's a little bit troubling too. No, if I definitely knew, like I just have. Somebody said go into investigator journalist mode. Like it's gonna. So here's how it works when there's a raid, right? For the purposes of the raid being done correctly, no one's gonna know. Now here's the thing, obviously Jay Prince is just not Diddy level. If it was Diddy level, if there was a raid going on, there's police outside your house while the raid's going on, right? Or not police, the media's outside your house. First of all, from what I've heard, this is what I've heard about Jay Prince. He has an extensive catalog of things that he owns. He owns farms, livestock, products, stores, islands. Like, it's actually kind of, it feels like more he's like diversified his portfolio than some guy who just only owns he owns a lot of music, entertainment stuff, and then he doesn't own like regular stuff. And what I mean by regular stuff, like, you know, owning apartment buildings or stores locally, or, you know, like someone told me that he owns, I can't remember if it's like livestock that produce a certain amount of milk, like cow. I don't know what the hell. I was just like, word? I wouldn't know. I was like, that sounds smart, right? Now, we all do know, I always told you that story. 6ix9ine told me when he was in there, they had him down there for like 12 hours. They said, we need to, for you to get out on this time, you got to snitch on everybody you know. And he did his thing. You know, it's 9 trade dudes. And all of a sudden, he said, it's like the 10th hour, man. So all of a sudden, the agents walked out, and it said some other agents walked in. I said, who y'all? He said, all right, man. He said, we know what you're here to do. We just got a few questions. We're gonna start with this. What do you got on Jay Prince Jr.? No, Jay Prince. Jay Prince. He says, tell us anything you got. And he said he was confused. He was like, what the fuck? Because they had gotten into it, but he don't really know no details about a nigga like that. So he was like kind of confused. But they wanted some details on him, which is kind of weird. If this is true, I should get local word soon, but obviously, if this is true, we'll get some local word, some people saying, oh, this shit did happen. Then along with, you know, the police usually goes with the feds or whoever. They're gonna take somebody in because they're gonna try to question you the same day or some shit, you know? But I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Somebody said they want Jay Prince bad. Well, actually, maybe I can hit up one of the I'm cool with one of the Jay Prince dudes. Let's see if we can get a. So Flacco just went live with that, huh? Flacco might be going off of that because, you know, just recently, Wack was right. I mean, Wack was right about this Dirk stuff. So, you know, if Wack told Flacco, I guess they're on a live stream somewhere, and Flacco went up with it, Flacco's like, shit, it was right about the last one. He got me right about this one. I don't know. Mob ties. I mean, I don't know how to get down. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. say Prince is too clever for the feds? That's probably true. Well, I'm not saying too clever, but if he was doing anything illicit, if they ain't catch him in all these years, come on, why would they catch him this year? Somebody said, what? Subscription gifting you guys do, and shout out to all the prospective or new members that have joined our YouTube channels. Okay, the bombshell indictment has came down. Chat, I also did create this. I'm gonna figure out a way how I could include some of you guys who are members. But I started to realize that number one, I feel like I have a ghetto law degree, number one, right? But number two, half of what we have to deal with and report upon deals with a lot of criminal cases. Chat, I am unveiling a new website today, and you're gonna see me update it frequently as I do prep for stream, but I'm probably gonna go off of my website. And if you guys do care to, get some of the, the info, the documents that will be included on the website, you guys could, if you're members, I'm gonna get it to the point that you guys could be able to see it. But so if you go to the academy.blog, right? This is really for stream, honestly. But like, if you guys, we do so much legal breakdown. Okay. Oh my God, it's gonna pop up. Legal breakdown. This website here, the academy.blog. You guys can go there. I want you guys. We're gonna start reading directly from here because I'm gonna upload all the criminal documents to there that I do research with all the stream. Anyway, here's the point, and here's the whole thing about it. So 5 OTF affiliates have been charged with murder for hire to kill Quando Rondo as revenge for King Von's murder. Now, if you guys don't know this whole thing, I'll slide for a moment.
If there's one thing you need in your shower routine, it's Native's body wash. It froths up into this rich, creamy.
So there's a new Evil Dead movie out, and it looks pretty good. I want to go see it. The only problem is I haven't seen literally any of the ones before it, and the way that my brain works, I simply just can't do that. Even though this one looks to be kind of like a spin-off of some sorts, I know there's going to be some references to the previous films, and I absolutely detest being that guy who doesn't understand them. So being someone who doesn't know anything about this franchise at all, I'm going to watch all of these movies and the remake, give you my thoughts and opinions on them all before I go into how they all connect. If they connect, see, I'm not entirely sure. So if you're looking to catch up with this universe because it's been a long time, or just want to see a more brief summary of these films before the new one instead of watching them all like a psychopath like me, then I've got you covered. So we'll start with the first film in the Evil Dead franchise called The Evil Dead. I don't really know what to expect. I don't really know what to say to prepare you for this, so let's just get right into it. So this first film centers on a group of friends who go to a creepy cabin in the woods and unearth the Book of the Dead. Because these friends are in a horror movie, they accidentally unleash tons of evil spirits that possess the friends, leaving Bruce Campbell's Ash to fend them off and try to survive the night. While this might sound kind of cliche, I don't think it was when this film was first made in 1981, so I had to remind myself of that when I was watching the movie. So while it might be cliche by today's standards, the story of this film is actually pretty good. It's a gory survival horror movie, but it does a really good job with its world building and lore. They find some tapes in the basement and learn a bit of history about the demons, and it's small, but it's nice to know where they came from and why all of this is actually happening. Ash is really the only character to get any development at all, and while I haven't seen these movies, I do know that Ash is the main character for this trilogy, and this movie sets up a pretty interesting character arc for him. There's one point where he just stands there in shock as his friend Scott is fighting for his life, and by the end of the movie, Ash is, of course, fighting back. It's not much of a character arc, but it's something. The story is simple, but it gets the job done and leaves very little room for error and plot holes as far as horror movies go. Don't really know why they didn't just burn the book the moment that some bad shit started happening, but whatever, I'll move past that. So this movie is old. noticeably old, but also kind of not given the look and feel of a lot of the modern horror movies. A lot of the cinematography and shot composition feels like it's something you'd see in a modern, like, A24 horror movie. You can see traces of how this movie influenced horror movies going forward, but also how it's still influencing them, making this genre kind of feel like history is repeating itself, and in this instance, it's not really a bad thing. That said, the editing is a bit strange, the music at times really brought me out of the moment, and the acting is a bit stiff, but judging this movie by today's standards is really unfair, so I'm not really going to mention it again. This movie was directed by Sam Raimi, and I obviously know his work from Spider-Man, and I had always heard of his iconic horror work, so I was excited to see that in full form for myself. And this movie does horror moments really well. The suspenseful moments are really well done, and the camera movements are unique and genuinely unsettling. As old as this movie is, it still actually is pretty scary. There's a few campy moments, and for a moment I thought it was because this movie is old, but they also seemed a bit intentional. And judging off my experiences with Sam Raimi's other works, I'm going to assume it was indeed intentional because a lot of his stuff happens to be pretty intentionally campy. Will that continue going forward? I honestly have no idea, but this movie is through and through a horror film. The practical effects of the film are still really great. The gore is unsettling, and while they are evil effects, they still get the job done, making you feel a little queasy. This movie is NC-17, and I've literally never seen a movie with that rating before, and even though this is an older one, it still makes sense that it has this rating. This movie is probably gorier than any other movie I've ever seen. The movie is short, which is nice because it's not too overbloated, but it also compromises the development of any character other than Ash. I learned that the girl locked in the basement was apparently Ash's sister, but I would have never known that had there not been a line of dialogue. Giving this movie a score isn't really fair considering I've never seen it before now, and it's obviously very old, so on a scale of if burying your dead lover who's being possessed by demons is good, and getting thrown into shelves all night long is bad, I give this movie a lock your possessed sister in the basement.
That's my rating. Figure it out. For the rest of your lives, there will be before you choose, and there will be after.
We just need to go home to the church.
If you wish to leave, it's a simple choice between belief and disbelief.
What happens if we choose the wrong door? I want to know the truth. What if you fell?
You figured it out yet? Good door.
Want to turn hair loss into hair gains? With Hims, discover a range of prescription treatments, like the Quick Drying 4-in-1 spray, formulated with finasteride and minoxidil, so you can regrow hair in just 3 to 6 months at hims.com.
So this is a movie that came out 6 years after the original, which itself didn't really seem like a movie that needed a sequel. Usually this is not a very good sign, but I'll look past that. Maybe I'm wrong this time around. Maybe this was a good sign back in the 80s. Evil Dead 2 is a sequel. I think it kind of rehashes everything that happened in the first film, but in the first 5 minutes. There's also changes like the book isn't burned in the end, the cabin isn't completely destroyed, so it's like a recap of the first movie, but everything is also entirely different. Alright, I'll just keep moving on, maybe it'll get explained later. Right away, I noticed that the budget was greatly increased. It seems like they wanted to redo the beginning like how they would have wanted it in the first place, adding in some scenes with further context, like the people who actually own the cabin finding the Book of the Dead. Upon further research, I found out that they just didn't actually have the rights to the first movie to use the footage, so they reshot scenes in order for new audiences to understand what was going on. Camera movements and filming techniques are even better than they were in the first film. The point of view shot of the evil moving through the forest might be a little campy, but so is the rest of this movie, and I kind of like it. The decision to make this more of a comedy is so strange to me. The first one was a very dark and gruesome horror movie, but this one leans so much more into its campiness. I think the campiness and comedic moments take some of the more gruesome moments and make them a bit easier to digest, if that makes any sense. It also kind of does make sense given the story of Ash. We're seeing it all happen from his point of view, and and as he slowly goes insane, the more funny and campy things happen. So it seems like everything that is funny and campy about this movie is actually happening because Ash is slowly going insane. Even though I think this movie mostly leans toward comedy, it still does the horror moments really well. There's the classic subversion of expectations and even jump scares that are all pretty well done. The story of this one is definitely more interesting than the first one. It doubles down on the story of where all these demons came from, showing us the daughter of the parents who owned the cabin, and a subplot about how they found even more pages from the book, and I actually felt more invested in the overall story. Ash being this crazed person who can actually help the newcomers since he's experienced everything already makes for really interesting character dynamics. There's some foreshadowing to the next movie, Army of Darkness, so I'm hoping there will be some kind of connective tissue between this one and that one, because even in the end, this one is very confusing about its connections to the first film. The actual ending of the movie is really great. It sets up the third film, and we see the castle that we saw the parents exploring in the beginning of the film. That makes a return, and you obviously know that Ash is now displaced in time, and he's really scared by that. So overall, a really strong ending that wraps up the whole movie very nicely. In a lot of ways, this is a sequel, and then in a lot of ways, it also seems kind of like a remake. There's a lot of the same scenes from the first film, but then it is also continuing the story of Ash. So overall, Evil Dead 2 is just a pretty confusing title. I don't know, maybe there's something I'm missing or something I'm just not getting because this is my first go-around with the franchise. If that's the case, I apologize to you, hardcore Evil Dead fans. Even with my confusion, I think that Ash really shines in this film. The story is better, and we get to see Ash become the chainsaw-wielding maniac that I've seen across all of pop culture for so many years, so to actually see that happen for myself was really cool. The horror is still good, even if it takes a back seat in this one. Some of the comedic moments work for me, but sometimes they don't. I think the action scenes work better for the most part, and I imagine I'll be seeing some more of those in the next film. So to rate this movie, if reshooting your entire movie in the first 5 minutes of the film is bad, and replacing your hand with a chainsaw is good, then I give this movie a rating of inanimate objects laughing at you until you go insane.
Figure it out. Amazon early holiday deals are here. Woo! Woo! With everything you need to kick off the season. Shop Amazon early holiday deals now. Woo!
When it's time to shine, make the most of it. It's always been my way. Especially when it comes to managing weight and health. Obesity can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, including heart attack and even stroke. That's the real heart of the issue. Talk to a healthcare provider about your weight. Your heart may depend on it. Go to truthaboutweight.com to discover more.
We start this one off with another recap, this time voiceover, and at least some of the footage is reused from the last film, but the ending of the last film is once again played out completely different in the beginning scene. So right off the bat, even though the second film was also a comedy, this one is obviously so unlike the other two. I don't even think I need to explain why. Just look at the screen. But going into making this video, this was the one that I was the most excited to watch. I have a certain love for all movies of this time period, no matter how bad they might be, and this is certainly the Evil Dead movie that I've heard of the most, though I still don't think everybody actually knows that this is the third movie in a trilogy. Maybe you do if you're watching this, but this is so detached from the other two, and it is very easily just a film of its own. This movie feels so much like a Monty Python movie, and it's by far the campiest and funniest, and the story lends itself to the humor much more than the last one did. The humor, for the most part, lands with me. Some of the more juvenile slapstick scenes are kind of stupid, but they are intentional, and I'm sure that they were funny back in the day, and still to some people now. There's still some horror present, but it takes much more of a backseat to the action and the comedy this time around. However different this film might be compared to the first two, there are some signature traits from the first two Evil Dead films. There's the point of view shot of the evil, a lot of the makeup design is the same for the Deadites, some of the world building rules still apply, but other than that, this is a completely different film. Ash is more of an action hero with one-liners than he is a crazy person. He's more akin to Han Solo than anything he was in the first two films, and it's really funny to compare Ash from this film to the first one. For the most part, this is your pretty standard hero's journey adventure story. Ash is the chosen one with the really strong and unique weapon. He unites the warring people to stand and fight against the army of the dead. Wait a minute, Ash is just Jon Snow, or Jon Snow is just Ash. In terms of your typical fantasy action movie, this is pretty good. In terms of ending this trilogy, it's a little unorthodox, and I'm sure the opinion of everybody can change depending on your preference, but I certainly enjoyed it. So giving this movie a rating, well, I feel like this is probably the one that has aged the best out of them all. So sure, some of the effects are outdated, but all the costumes are great, the practical effects are still really good, and the ending battle is genuinely enjoyable, and I'd probably watch this movie again. So I'll give this movie like a 7 out of 10. Overall, this has to be the single strangest trilogy of films ever put to screen. You have the first entry, a dark and gruesome horror movie that's rated NC-17. The second film that's still a lot like the first, but this time around is more of a comedy. And a third movie that has time travel and is set in medieval times. There is not a single trilogy of films that covers more ground and genres than Evil Dead does. This trilogy today would be like if there was a sequel to Midsommar, but it was about Florence Pugh becoming the leader of this cult, and it was a comedy, and then in the third film she goes back in time to create the cult in the first place, but she has to face off against something like dinosaurs. So overall, a very strange trilogy. I liked each individual film, but due to my own personal biases, I think I like Army of Darkness the best. So going from watching the older horror movies to a modern one is really jarring, but nowhere near as jarring as going from Army of Darkness to the unrated version of the 2013 Evil Dead. The prologue is very different from anything we've seen in the franchise, and going into this movie I was wondering if it was just going to be a complete reboot with all the same characters, but it's not, and it doesn't have a recasted Ash, so I was excited to see the differences, what they were going to keep, what they were going to do differently, and really how gory this movie was going to be overall. It certainly has some of the more modern horror movie tropes, but it also takes time to develop a good story and a good reason for all these kids to be here, along with giving each of them some development and dynamics that would be explored throughout the film. This was a nice change of pace from the original version where there was very little character development for anybody other than Ash. The story is actually really good. They're all on a retreat so that Mia can detox cold turkey, and they decide that no matter what she says, they're going to keep her there, so when she starts saying crazy things about demons and the forest, they think that she's just going through withdrawals. This sets up some pretty great moments because as an audience, we know what she's saying is true, but we also recognize how crazy it would sound to the others at the cabin. There's also the bona fide idiot who, after reading through an evil witchcraft book they find in a basement filled with dead animals that says don't read the book, he goes out of his way to read the book. So characters doing stupid things in a horror movie? Check. Dog dies a horrible death? Check. The only black person in the movie dies first? Check. Like I said, all the makings of a modern horror movie. But being a modern horror movie means the effects are greatly improved, and they certainly are. This movie uses all practical effects, which makes the scenes that much more horrifying, and these effects look so great, this movie doesn't really seem like one that's 10 years old. With the addition of actual character development comes an actual message for the film, and that's what addiction does to your friends and family. How your own addiction might affect you, but it affects all of those around you as well. It's a little half-baked. The movie definitely isn't focused on delivering a message, it's focused on being a gross and terrifying film. There's tons of references to the previous movies, but my favorite is how they kept the point of view shot of the evil moving through the forest, and that was probably the most iconic thing that I picked out of the first three films, so I'm glad that they kept that in. There's the road being covered in water instead of a bridge being out, two different characters' hands either get cut off or infected, similar to Ash. David gives Mia a sort of similar looking locket that Ash gives to his girlfriend, and you see, these are the things that I just need to know when watching a movie in a franchise. I also really like that they try to burn the book, but it won't burn in this one, and that was one of my issues with the original Evil Dead, so it must have been a pretty common problem that they addressed here. There's also evidence that this movie does take place in the same universe as the original films, but more on that in a bit. Now, maybe it's because I watched the unrated version, but this movie is genuinely horrific. As I'm writing this, I really don't know how I'm going to edit this video because so much of this movie is way too graphic to show on YouTube. You know what? Most of this franchise has been really graphic. This is going to be a nightmare to edit. But other than its sheer brutality, the horror aspects are really well done. There's great moments of subversion and edge-of-your-seats thrills, and while this is the lowest rated movie in the franchise, 6.5 ain't bad. I weirdly think that for a movie that's only an hour and a half long, it feels a bit too long. It feels like there's two different third acts, and I think that's because when this movie starts its horrific moments, it doesn't let up from the gas until the credits roll. So I think it was just a little bit fatiguing. Also, the stuff from the prologue of the movie never actually comes back into play again. I figured that was leading to something big for the third act, but none of these people ever come back in the movie. So overall, that was just a little bit strange. I don't know if it was because there was a planned sequel to this movie and they were going to be in that movie, but as of right now, it makes the film feel a lot less well-rounded than the original. There's also a post-credit scene that, I don't know, doesn't add anything to the movie at all. And then there's another one of Ash saying groovy. That was nice. I think that this movie paid tribute to the original in a really great way while also making it its own thing entirely. As far as remakes go, this is certainly one of the better ones that I've seen. I think a 6.5 is a really fair rating, so I'll keep that and use it as my own. Alright, I'm all caught up on the Evil Dead franchise. Time to go out and watch the new one. I'll come back and do the review then. Well, I mean, I guess for you, that's right now. So, I was correct in my thought process. I needed to watch the other movies to understand the references, not really the story, but there are a lot of references that fans of the series will instantly recognize and really like, and those are the kinds of things that I wanted to see. So obviously, this movie is still in theaters, which means I can't exactly use any of the footage, and I don't want to use the same promo pictures or the trailer during this segment, so just enjoy some gameplay from Evil Dead the game. But this film does a really great job of separating itself from all the other films. Some of the rules of the last films don't apply here. There's no burying the dead, setting them on fire, or even dismembering them. Apparently, the evil just never dies in this one, which allows for some gruesome kills that exceed dismemberment. If you haven't seen the movie, I'll leave that to your imagination. Some of these changes I really like, but others make me question a lot of the lore in this universe. But again, I'll get to that in a bit. The prologue of this film is very disconnected from the rest of the film, and at first I thought that it was going to be another Evil Dead 2013 scenario when the prologue just never connects anything, but it actually does come full circle in the end in a pretty clever way. But hands down, the standout aspect of this film is the setting. Evil Dead has always shown us very horrific situations, but they've mostly all been about a cabin in the woods. You don't go into a cabin in the woods, odds are you must be safe. But this movie is set in the city and really makes you feel unsafe no matter where you are. This setting offers a lot of new opportunities for the story, and in some ways they take advantage of these aspects, but it also seems like they were afraid of straying too far from the Evil Dead formula. This does have the same step-by-step process that the other Evil Dead films have, not necessarily Army of Darkness, but the other ones. The characters and performances by the actors are all really great. The first act of this film is very tame and allows some room for development before anything crazy starts happening, and I really liked this in comparison to 2013's Evil Dead. While they are very similar tonally, Evil Dead 2013 steps on the pedal about 20 minutes into the movie and never lets off the gas. I think this film took another 10 minutes to develop characters before anything too gruesome happens, so by the end of the film it didn't feel as exhausting. I will say I was surprised in some moments of this film because a lot of the characters are children, so I didn't think that this movie would really go there in the violence aspect, but it certainly does go there, and it does so very unapologetically. Outside of Army of Darkness, this is certainly the most unique Evil Dead film, and I thought it was pretty great. 7.5 out of 10. Alright, that's all the movies, so the real question is how all of these films connect. While there are 3 films that are considered a trilogy, the ways in which they connect is not as concrete as some of the other trilogies are. So in this explanation, I'm going to skip over a few things just to make them seem a bit clearer. There's also the remake and the new Evil Dead Rise. Are these two connected in any way? I'm going to go through the story of this entire franchise, talk a bit about the lore and the characters, and what the future of this franchise might hold. If you're wondering what film's on screen, just look up right here and I'll tell you. So a group of friends travel to a remote cabin in the woods in Tennessee. Scott, Cheryl, Linda, Shelley, and Ash. When the group discovers a basement in the cabin, Scott and Ash search it and find several interesting items. A strange-looking book, a strange-looking dagger, a tape recorder, and a double-barrel shotgun. The group listens to the tape, which contains some diary entries from Professor Raymond Noby about the book they found called the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, roughly translated to the Book of the Dead. By listening to Professor Noby's recordings where he transcribes the book, it awakens the spirits around the cabin known as Deadites. The Deadites possess and torment the friends, leaving only Ash alive by the morning. Ash attempts to destroy the book by burning it, but it doesn't seem to work, and Ash continues to get attacked by the evil in the woods. He runs from it and returns to the cabin, though by all accounts, Ash seems to be losing his mind. His hand gets infected by the evil, and he's forced to cut it off. Meanwhile, Professor Noby's daughter Annie returns from a trip with the lost pages of the Book of the Dead. With the help of her research partner and some locals, Annie returns to her father's cabin, but doesn't find her parents. Instead, she finds Ash. Thinking that he's killed her parents, Annie tries to attack Ash and force some answers out of him, but this group soon finds out that Ash is their best hope at surviving the onslaught of Deadites. Ash and Annie talk about the pages of the Necronomicon, about a prophecy of a hero to lead people against the Deadites in 1300 AD. The Deadites continue attacking, and Ash replaces his severed hand with a chainsaw, becoming a complete and total killing machine. Ash and Annie hatch a plan to send the evil away by reciting another incantation from the book, which works, kinda, but Annie is killed by Ash's severed hand in the process, and the incantation opens up a portal, sucking Ash in and sending him back to 1300 AD. He kills a Deadite, and he's hailed a hero, Ash realizing that the prophecy he saw from the book is actually about him. But not everybody is totally sold on Ash. Lord Arthur mistakes Ash as one of Henry the Red's men, so he's sentenced to the pit. The pit is a literal pit with a Deadite inside, but Ash takes it out and escapes the pit. Threatening anybody who gets in his way, Ash is determined to get back to his own time and goes on a quest to retrieve the Necronomicon. Along the way, Ash has an encounter with tons of tiny versions of himself until one of them gets inside of him and grows into another full-sized version. Ash defeats the evil version of himself and goes to retrieve the book. He's stumped when he arrives and he finds 3 different versions of the Necronomicon. He figures out which one is the one that would help him return his time, and he takes it. He was supposed to recite an incantation to retrieve the book without alerting any spirits, but Ash says it wrong, so the army of the dead raises from the ground, including evil Ash, who becomes the army's leader. Ash returns to Lord Arthur's castle, and using his knowledge from present day, conjures a plan to survive the attack of Deadites. He fights off evil Ash and unites the Warren clans before drinking a potion that would allow him to sleep off the remaining time until he awakens in present day. He returns home, resuming his job at the local S-Mart. But what about the 2 other Necronomicons he found? Years later, a different family now owns the Noby cabin, and a different group of friends goes there in order to help Mia get over her addiction to drugs. One of these friends, named Eric, finds one of these different Necronomicons in the cabin, reading it aloud when the new writing in the book clearly states that he shouldn't, and the Deadites return to wreak havoc once again. Mia insists that they should leave after her encounter with the evil, but her friends and brother chalk it up to her just having withdrawals. However, they soon learn that she was right, and they should leave because the Deadites start attacking and picking off the friends one by one. Mia's brother David is successful in his attempt to rid the demon from his sister's body, but gets killed by another Deadite soon after, leaving it up to Mia to be the lone survivor and face the ultimate demon from this book, the Taker of Souls. Mia survives the attack and takes out the Taker of Souls and leaves the cabin. Now for the other book, that's where Evil Dead Rise comes in. The book is stored in an old underground bank vault. An earthquake shakes the ground free, and a family comes in contact with the book, unleashing the evil in an apartment building in California. While some members of the family make it out, the evil possesses a different person who goes on a trip to that's right, you guessed it, remote cabin in the woods. So there's a few things I want to go over. First and foremost, the books. So the way I see it, each book has its own set of rules. violence, and we see that on full display across each of the films. The book from the Evil Dead trilogy tells us that the Deadites can be killed one way, and that's bodily dismemberment. This makes weapons like the chainsaw and the shotgun that Ash uses incredibly effective. The book from the remake of Evil Dead is pretty forgiving, giving you an additional 2 options to dispose of the Deadites: burial and fire. And the book from Evil Dead Rise is the most unforgiving, saying that none of these options work and your best bet is to just try and run. So the most evil version of this book is probably the one from Evil Dead Rise, and the least evil version is the one from the Evil Dead remake. Not to say that I'd want one situation over the other after watching these films. If I am ever in a remote cabin for some reason, I will not be doing any reading whatsoever. Each of these books appear in all of the films in one way or another. Yes, they all look different, but that's because over the years there's new pages added and new binding methods. By who? Well, that's a really great question. I think this could be really interesting territory for a hypothetical sequel. Who are these people that add in new pages and make new covers for the Necronomicons? What happened to Mia? What happened to the survivors of the family from Evil Dead Rise? Can all 3 books be destroyed once and for all? Are there more books? I think there's plenty of room for more sequels, but I can also see why they take their time with this franchise. Whatever comes next, I'll be watching. So that completes my journey with the Evil Dead. Wait a minute, what's this? Okay, I don't have time for this right now. I'll save this for another video if you guys want to see it. Throughout the many horror franchises out there, it seems that there's always a false note somewhere. There's always a movie that is clearly not that great, maybe even a string of movies before a reboot that's actually good, and even the sequels from the reboot aren't that good. But Evil Dead separates itself from all other horror franchises in that regard. Like I said earlier, the lowest rated movie in this series is the Evil Dead remake with a 6.5, and most horror movies, whether they're related to a franchise or not, are not rated even this highly. When your worst film is a 6.5, you've probably got a good series on your hands. All of these movies are treated with immense respect to the franchise and the lore, and I think that's because Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are very careful with this franchise. They don't just want a simple cash grab, they want something that will genuinely shock and scare the audience, or in their films make them laugh, and they've achieved whatever they've set out to do each and every time. It's very refreshing to see producers who have such a deep love for the world and the characters over the potential for more money. I'm really glad that I watched these films. I still think I might have missed the hype train that many fans have for this franchise. That makes this series have a very special place in their heart, but it was a series that I had never seen myself. I've seen so many different references on social media or just pop culture in general, and now I get to say I know exactly what they mean because I made this video. I'm sure there's going to be some hardcore Evil Dead fans watching this, and if I had watched these films a long time ago, I could totally see myself falling in love with these movies. I'm not saying that I don't like them, they're all very solid films, regardless of the genre, and I stand by my statement that the Evil Dead trilogy is the strangest trilogy I've ever seen. But what are your thoughts on the Evil Dead? Are you excited for another possible entry in the franchise? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. If you do, then I'll see you in the next one.
The best part about Russell Stover's sugar-free candies, it's the sweetness you crave. Without all the sugar. No sugar, great taste, guaranteed.
Over the course of the last decade plus, we've gotten used to seeing the name The Walking Dead quite a bit, whether that be due to the main show, the comics, the spin-offs, the games. There's no denying how big of a franchise this has become. But with a combined 24 seasons of television across all the mainline TV shows, It's easy to lose your footing or get lost climbing the daunting mountain that is The Walking Dead. So what exactly is a field guide? What is this video that you just clicked on? Well, in however long this video is, because as I'm writing this, I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to be, I'm going to explain everything about the Walking Dead universe. From the characters, the locations, the rules, the stories, everything that you might want to know, and maybe some stuff you don't care to know, but you'll learn anyways. If you're a big fan of the show, then a lot of this stuff might be common knowledge, but if you're not a fan of the show, this is the only video you'll need to watch, and I'll grant you the certificate of Walking Dead fan myself. From when Rick wakes up in the hospital, to when he gets charted off by helicopter, to Daryl being a loose cannon in the group turned fan favorite, to how he gets all the way to France. Whatever questions you have, whatever you want to learn, it'll be here. And while there are a lot of spin-offs, I'm going to be focusing primarily on The Walking Dead itself, but I'll get into the spin-offs when necessary. If you want to skip to learn something specific, the chapters are in the description, so feel free to go where you want, but I'd highly recommend you watch the entire video, because if you don't and you do skip around, you might be a bit confused. So grab a snack, relax, and let's go over the ultimate field guide to the Walking Dead universe. Chapter 1. Zombies. As with any form of zombie media, The Walking Dead has its own set of rules that ground this universe and hold it together, while also separating itself and giving it something unique that not all other zombie stories do. First question people usually have is how the virus started. It's believed to have originated in France, given the name the wildfire virus. Within a few months from April of 2010 to September 2010, society as we know it collapsed. The wildfire virus caused people to become increasingly aggressive and resort to cannibalism, even return from the dead, though in The Walking Dead, they're not called zombies, because in the universe of the show, zombies don't exist. As silly as that sounds, hear me out. Everything that we know about zombies and zombie culture comes from George Romero. So if he doesn't exist in this universe, then the concept of zombies changes entirely. Zombies in this world go by a bunch of different names, and that all really depends on the group of people that are talking about them. You have biters, geeks, rotters, chompers, lurkers, roamers, plenty more, but they're most commonly referred to as walkers. This is mostly because our central group of the show refers to them as walkers, and then the people that they encounter on their journey just join in on the lingo, but I'll get to talking about the group more in a few minutes. For the most part, the zombies in the world of The Walking Dead are slow moving. They can't move very fast, they're loud, and honestly a little dumb, yet they still manage to sneak up on our characters on numerous occasions. We've seen time and time again that a few walkers aren't really that big of a deal, but the danger of the walkers comes from numbers. Like a lot of different animals, walkers like to travel together. Where are they going? A lot of times they don't really know. They wait to hear a loud noise or some gunshots and go towards the sound. But when there's nothing to draw their attention, the walkers roam around, gaining more to their ranks, which makes them a deadly threat to anybody who crosses path with a horde. Hordes or herds of walkers are especially dangerous, leading to the group making rash decisions that prove who they truly are on the inside. You can choose to try and help someone in what could be your final moments, or you could do whatever it takes to make sure you survive, however selfishly that may be. The basic premise of the show, at least in the beginning, is survival. The living versus the dead. So how do you kill a walker? Chapter 2. Rules. So like most zombie media, The Walking Dead is the same in that you get bit, you're turning into a walker. Well, for the most part. If you're lucky enough to get bit on like an arm or your leg, you can amputate it and possibly live, but that's also not always the case. So you get bit and you turn into a zombie. That's how zombies come to be, right? Well, then how come there's seemingly so many different hordes of zombies and they're literally everywhere, even though there weren't initially zombies there to begin with? Well, this is where The Walking Dead does something different with its rules about zombies. The wildfire virus doesn't spread from bites. It can, but it's also airborne, meaning that if you die, even without a walker bite, you're turning into a zombie. This is quite the revelation, and it shakes the group up when they learn about this, and some people in the universe are forced to learn this the hard way. So if everybody's a zombie no matter what, how do you kill a walker? The part about zombies that reanimates them in this universe is their brain. So if you take out a walker's brains, then they're down for good. No matter how many times you shoot a walker, that thing is going to keep coming for you until you land that headshot. Complete bodily dismemberment is also a fairly good option, though even if you do that and don't destroy the zombie head, it will still be, I guess, technically alive. Further on into the apocalypse, when everybody is more well-versed with the rules and the logistics, as soon as somebody dies, even if it's not from a walker bite, they will usually mercy kill them by shutting off their brains before they turn. Like I mentioned before, walkers are pretty dumb creatures. They follow sound and lights because where there's sound and light, there's usually food. But this can be taken advantage of, like in this scene where Daryl uses an alarm clock to lure a horde of walkers away from the group. Of course, this didn't keep the walkers away, but that was for another reason, one I'll get to later. So walkers react to sound and sight, but what about their other senses? Are they still intact? Yes, they certainly are, at least presumably. Taste is still there for obvious reasons. Sight is there unless it's been taken away from them, but smell is the topic of our next discussion. There is a clear difference between the walkers and the humans. To us, of course, but also to the walkers, and this has to do with smell. There are many times in the series, dating as far back as the second episode, where the characters will take the blood and guts of the walkers and apply it to themselves in order to blend in. This plan usually works, or at least it could work if it weren't for outside factors working against them. In this scene, Glenn and Rick are fully protected when they're covered in guts, but it starts raining and the smell starts coming off of them, forcing them to run. In this scene, the group is safely traversing through a horde of walkers until this kid Sam starts making too much noise and the walkers catch on that he's human, meaning that above all else, walkers prioritize the sounds they hear rather than any of their other senses. So there's all these rules when it comes to walkers, but what about the world they live in now? Is there any remaining military or law and order in place? No, there's not, at least not for a while. At the very beginning of the series, the survivors are out to protect their own group and themselves. People go on to become as big of a threat as the walkers themselves as society continues to crumble, man turns on man, and it's really a giant domino effect to a darker world. Now, this does change over the course of the show and into the spin-offs, and like I said, I'll get to that later, but now that we know how to get rid of walkers, what ways are the most effective? Meaning, what weapons should I use?
Who are Iranians? What do they say? What do they think? What are they capable of?
Why revolution? Who do you believe was behind it? The CIA, the Russians, the Marxists? I've heard all kinds of theories.
I really believe that if the revolution had not happened, Iran should be by now South Korea of the Middle East.
Not
Instead,
the
we have
North
become
Korea.
the North Korea.
The new Iran. What does that look like?
There is a positive note to it. America might say, well, we want to leave them alone. They won't leave you alone. It has to be the news.
Chapter 3, Weaponry. There is quite an extensive history when it comes to weaponry in The Walking Dead. Some of the weapons seem quite useful and effective, and other times they seem nonsensical and idiotic. Everyone has their own ideal set of weapons when the zombie apocalypse comes. A couple knives, an axe or a sword, maybe a few guns, and that's exactly what we see in the first few seasons. The weapons are all practical and seem like something that the average Joe could come across or have in their possession. Even the weapons that don't seem that way, like maybe Shane's shotgun for example, are given passes because Shane was a police officer and he had access to this weapon before the outbreak. Of all the weapons in the first few seasons, the one that seems the least practical is actually Rick's Colt Python. It would be more difficult to reload, louder, which would attract more walkers, and overall probably not the best weapon to use, but it's an iconic weapon and it adds to Rick's cool factor, so I'll give it a pass. As the seasons go on, more weaponry is introduced. Weapons that don't exactly seem like something the average Joe could get their hands on, fully automatic rifles, night vision scopes, and RPG, this gun that Daryl has that I can only assume is some sort of alien space rifle, and Negan's absolutely ridiculous modified MAC-10. These two weapons are part of the same scene, by the way. The world had less people fighting for these valuable weapons, so I guess it would make sense that along the journey, everybody would acquire more advanced guns, and in the mid to late seasons, these guns were around every corner. Each character had a gun that looked like it was straight up the assembly line of the Call of Duty gunsmith, but again, this was to up the cool factor of the show and add some exciting things to look at. But towards the tail end of the show, minus the final season, it seemed that all the ammo and resources to make ammo had been spent, so they resorted to more close-up and personal weapons. Some members of the group were already ahead of the curve on this one, like Daryl, whose go-to weapon is a high-powered crossbow, and Michonne, who's more deadly with a katana than Beatrix Kiddo. Well, maybe not, but the others had to catch up with their skills in close-quarters combat, and this led to a lot of different weapons. Bows were a pretty frequent weapon used among the survivors, as were knives, swords, all kinds of medieval weaponry, and some other, let's just say, puzzling weapons. There's Kelly's slingshot, which I just don't really think would ever kill a walker, but they did become increasingly fragile over the years, so maybe. But then there's weapons like this, and however creative these might be, the word practical seems to have completely slipped the mind. Of course, I can't leave this chapter without mentioning Negan's baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire named Lucille, one of the most formidable and feared weapons in all of The Walking Dead, though if I'm being honest, I don't really think the barbed wire changes all that much of the bat being used as a weapon. Anyways, let's meet the cast. Chapter 4, The Group. Any great story needs its set of heroes to follow, and this series has many. Very many. Our group of survivors doesn't actually have a concrete name, so I'm going to very plainly call them the Survivors. The Survivors have undergone many changes over the years. From new people being added to losing people along the journey, the Survivors really started here in a camp just outside of Atlanta. This is the Season 1 group. The notable survivors here are Rick Grimes, our central protagonist of the series, Shane Walsh, Rick's best friend and former partner in the police force, Lori and Carl, Rick's wife and son, Glenn Reed, the likable and cheerful guy of the group and former pizza delivery boy, Andrea, the badass woman who's capable of taking care of herself, Dale, the moral compass and father figure, Carol and Sophia, the quiet housewife and her daughter, T-Dog, the token comedic relief character, and Daryl Dixon, the selfish hunter of the group. There's also a very important person in Season 1, the man who initially saves Rick Grimes, and that's Morgan Jones. Though his only appearance in Season 1 is the pilot episode, Morgan would eventually go on to have a huge role in not only The Walking Dead, but the Walking Dead universe as a whole. As they continue traveling, they stumble upon a farm, adding in Herschel Green and his daughters Maggie and Beth. They also lose Shane Walsh for a number of reasons, and Sophia, presenting Carol with her first child loss in the apocalypse, a trend we would continue to see for some time. In Season 3, the group goes to the prison, meeting some former inmates who they dispose of rather quickly, and also add one of the show's most recognizable faces with Michonne, losing Lori, Andrea, and T-Dog in the process, but it's a pretty even trade if you ask me. They also add Tyrese, Sasha, and Bob. After the prison, the group is scattered, but this allows Glenn and Tara, another new member of the group, to run into Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene. When the survivors reconvene at Terminus, they deal with some issues there and meet Father Gabriel, a whiny, cowardly, and annoying priest that they take with them on their journey to go and find Beth, but she doesn't make it, and neither does Tyrese an episode later. They do gain Noah, and with the group on the road, this is the time that many refer to as the best group in the show, myself included. Then they arrive at Alexandria, and I wouldn't say that they necessarily gain anyone, they just kind of force their way of living onto all of the Alexandrians because they have to in order to survive. Along our group's journey, unbeknownst to them, they've been followed by a familiar face, one Morgan Jones, who finally reunites with Rick for the first time since we last saw him in Season 3, Episode 12, Clear, where Morgan had officially lost his mind. The survivors go through many more changes, losing notable member after notable member, until they see that the world is much larger than they initially thought. They meet King Ezekiel of the Kingdom and Jesus from the hilltop, and all these groups start to blend together to form one giant group of survivors. The most notable change that our group ever faced was the loss of Rick Grimes. After being very badly injured and impaled by a piece of rebar, Rick sacrifices himself by blowing up a bridge that had hundreds of walkers trying to cross over it. Had the walkers crossed, they would have spelled certain, maybe not doom, but certain trouble for all of the communities. As far as our group was concerned, Rick died in that explosion, but that wasn't true, and Rick was secretly taken away in a helicopter with the help of Jadis. Rick was charted off, never to be...
We turned Boost Mobile to a legit nationwide 5G network.
Meet again. Maybe. They lose more members and eventually are left with this. I like to think of the survivors in 3 different phases, and everybody who isn't pictured is more or less a background character during the in-between phases. There's the Season 1 group, the Season 5 group, and the Season 11 group. Some members do more than others, some are remembered more fondly than others, and some are lucky to be part of the group at all. Each season more or less has a group of survivors on its own. Even though they might be in different locations or spread out, they're still one group. It's just that the 3 phases of the groups on screen show how vastly different each phase really was. This ever-growing cast of characters in the group was really brought forth with the change of locations, so that leads me to my next chapter. Chapter 5. Locations. A big part of The Walking Dead has always been the locations. From the many different states they travel to the bigger communities, the what's what and really the where's what has always been a major point of concern among Walking Dead fans because the sense of scale and where everybody has really traveled sometimes comes with an asterisk, so let's start at the very beginning of the show in Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is really the first major location in The Walking Dead. There's the iconic shot of Rick Grimes riding a horse into the city, and a lot of the first season takes place in and around the city of Atlanta. This of course includes the Center for Disease Control, but that seemingly incredibly safe location gets blown up to shreds. From here, the group traveled further south in Georgia where they found the Green family farm. The group stays here throughout season 2 until it's overrun and they're forced to move even further south to the prison. The prison is one of, if not the most iconic location in the show. Even the people who stopped watching the show eventually know of the prison because this was really the first place that the group considered a home. Sure, the farm was great and all, but everybody was really just biding their time before they figured out their next move. The prison was meant to be a sustaining home for the foreseeable future. This would have worked too if it weren't for the governor and his community called Woodbury. Woodbury was a shadow of the former world. It had, well, a governor, a whole town of people, and it seemed like a pretty great place. If not for the leadership, Woodbury probably would have gone on to last for at least a lot longer than it did. But when the governor rolled up to the prison in a tank, the place they considered their home evaporated before their eyes, and the group was forced on the road. They all reconvene at another iconic location, Terminus. Terminus isn't exactly the place it was advertised to be. Instead of being a home to everybody who arrived, they became a meal for the people who already lived there. But the group escapes this fiasco and arrives at Father Gabriel's church. Ideals and leaderships are questioned, and this leads the group to split up once again, for a brief time because they reconvene once again at Grady Memorial Hospital. And this ends, for what was an entire 5 seasons, the location of Georgia. From Georgia, the group walks a very, very long walk up to Virginia, where they find the Alexandria Safe Zone. Alexandria is once again a very iconic location to the Walking Dead universe, and would serve as the main base for our characters right up to the end of the series. But this was also a time in the show where the world grew larger, and our group learned of other groups and communities all around Alexandria. I say all around Alexandria, but in actuality, each location is at least a few hours away by car, so walking and riding horses to each location got a bit unrealistic in some instances, but each location is a few hours away from each other. We first meet the Hilltop community, a pretty self-sustaining group with high walls to keep out the walkers, and they seem to be pretty well off if it weren't for the Saviors, hailing from their own location, the Sanctuary. We also learn of another community run by King Ezekiel and his pet tiger Shiva called the Kingdom. Alexandria, Hilltop, and the Kingdom engage in a war with the Saviors at the Sanctuary, a war that would last for a long time in our world, but not a long time in universe. There's also some other minor players involved in the war, the community at the Oceanside Resort, which is by far the furthest from any other community, and the scavengers at a junkyard. Yes, I mean it, a junkyard. But after the war is settled, these locations remain a constant for the next 2 seasons, with the final notable location being the Commonwealth, which is all the way over in Ohio. Of course, there's a few smaller locations that appear in a few episodes, but these are all the major places that our group comes across throughout the entire series. But with each new location also comes somebody who wants to take it from them, or really just cause trouble, and that leads us to the villains. Chapter 6, The Villains Are Too Far Gone. I might have said a name here and there throughout the course of the video, but another big component in The Walking Dead was always the villains. Yes, this world might be ravaged by flesh-eating monsters, but in a world without law and order, sometimes people can be the biggest danger around. The first 2 seasons, we don't really have any villains per se. There's Dr. Jenner, who locks them into CDC when it's about to explode, but he eventually lets them all go. In season 2, we have Shane, which is a controversial topic of its own, whether or not he was a bad guy, but I'll mention him here to keep that side of the fan base happy. Shane was Rick's best friend turned lover for Rick's wife Lori, and over the course of 2 seasons, Shane's love for Lori eventually turned him to the brink of insanity, if not actual insanity itself, forcing Rick to put an end to his own best friend. Shane gets a lot of love from the fanbase as well, because he was ahead of the curve with his survival instincts and view of the world. It was kill or be killed, and nobody really agreed with him until like 3 seasons later on that viewpoint. But like I said, Shane is a pretty controversial pick. Some people don't view him as a villain. Some people consider him to be the show's best villain. On to season 3 and the first actual major villain that everybody can agree is a villain, Philip Blake, aka the Governor. The Governor was at first a very charming and charismatic leader. He seemed like he had the remnants of civilization under control, and he was the person that everybody could look up to and follow. Well, that doesn't last very long, and we see that the Governor has a multitude of ulterior motives. He clearly has some issues upstairs, keeping jars filled with walker heads on display in his room, and his zombified daughter in the closet. He also takes conflict with our main group very personally, doing his best to turn them against each other, humiliate them, and, of course, kill them. But by the end of season 3, the Governor's own issues lead to his own downfall and the downfall of his community. In season 4, we think that maybe Philip has learned from his prior experiences, become a changed man, but in reality, his dangerous and vengeful personality have only heightened, leading him to attack the prison, saying that he wants to use it as his new home, but in reality, he just wants revenge against Rick and the whole group, disregarding the prison entirely as he shoots buildings with a literal tank, and this, with a combination of a few other deceptions, eventually leads to his death. But this episode is rather famous for an interesting quote, a quote that really resonates for the entire series. While Rick is trying to convince the Governor that this battle doesn't have to happen because they can move past this, he says that despite all their history, they can still come back from this, that they aren't too far gone. But the Governor's actions prove that he is too far gone, hence the attack and the name of the episode. I probably recapped the story enough at this point, but I haven't mentioned a group called the Claimers. After everybody is separated by the battle at the prison, Daryl eventually stumbles upon a group who call themselves the Claimers. They live by simple rules. You find something, you want it, you claim it, and it's yours. Don't lie about anything, and you won't have any issues. But the group's true colors come out when one of the members breaks these rules, and the consequences are severe. The leader of the Claimers, Joe, looks at Daryl as his sort of protege. Joe has a great amount of respect for Daryl, and while it's not stated explicitly, I've always viewed their interactions as a mentor and apprentice, though Daryl doesn't exactly buy into the whole charade. Things come to a head when the Claimers run into Rick, Michonne, and Carl on the road. Rick had previously encountered and killed one of the claimers, and Daryl stands up for Rick, saying that he's a good person, but Joe says that's a lie and overcomes his disappointment to tell the other members to teach Daryl a lesson all the way. Joe then instructs his claimers to do very bad things that I cannot mention on this platform, but I assure you they're very bad. This forces a new reaction out of Rick, and a turning point for Rick's character as a whole. But after the claimers, we get the infamous people of Terminus, people I love to refer to as termites. The termites sent out messages over the radio saying that they have a sanctuary for everybody who arrives. Everybody who arrives survives. The whole...
Oh, fresh direct. I wonder what's for dinner. Oh, garlic and herb rotisserie chicken. Grilled asparagus? Is that? Are those? Cinnamon rolls? Oh, if only I could just...
Charade. The group all hears this message at different locations and heads there only to find out that the termites weren't being very truthful. Now, at first glance, these termites seem to be like the worst kind of people, and they are, but it's who they had to turn into. We do get a good amount of backstory with the termites, learning that Terminus wasn't always the place that they see it is now, and at first it was a real operation. Everybody who showed up was given safe refuge and a roof over their heads, but certain people came and abused that policy, proving that once again, in the apocalypse, humans can be as big of a threat, if not bigger, than the flesh-eating monsters. So the termites had to change their way of life in order to overcome hostile outside forces, and in this attempt, the leaders of Terminus became too far gone. After the termites are dealt with, we move on to Grady Memorial Hospital, where the leftover Atlanta police force has captured Beth. The force is led by an officer named Dawn, and she too has a pretty strict set of rules. These officers have servants who tend to the officers' needs, whether they want to or not. Dawn tells Beth in a similar fashion to the termites that this place did not start out this way, and in a similar fashion to the claimers, Dawn hints at Beth replacing her. All of these previous villains have shown us the brutality of the apocalypse in The Walking Dead, and that a lot of people have become too far gone in this world, and this toll has an effect on our characters. For the rest of Season 5, there isn't really one set villain that causes trouble for all of our characters. There's members of the Anderson family like Pete, an abusive husband, and Ron, a jealous and bratty teenager, and these two cause troubles for Rick and Carl respectively, but there is another villain that's kind of hiding in plain sight, and that's Rick Grimes himself. Going back to what I said earlier about Shane, I talked about how Rick and the group wouldn't share his view of the world for another few seasons, and Season 5 is really when Rick becomes a lot like Shane. Each previous encounter with a villain has changed Rick's mindset on a number of things. The Claimers brought out his more brutal side and made him realize that he would do anything to protect the ones he loves. The Termites made him lose trust in outsiders, and the police officers made Rick realize that he's far different than who he was before the apocalypse. All of these encounters and changes to Rick's personality comes to a head when he arrives at Alexandria. Even though this community has survived and sustained for a long time, Rick doesn't trust what he sees. He's given opportunities to become a part of the community, but there's always a backup plan in case things go sideways. He sees the people around him as weak and feels that a change is needed in order for everybody to survive. He takes matters into his own hands and forces the people around him to change. A lot of this probably sounds very familiar because a lot of this sounds like Shane's actions from the second season. Shane doesn't view the people around him as strong enough to survive in this world. He always has a backup plan, talking about leaving the farm and going out on his own, or knowing where the weapons are at all times in case things go sideways. Rick tries to implement Shane into their small community time and time again, but Shane doesn't want to comply, and when he feels that things have gone too far, Shane takes matters into his own hands and tries to force the people around him to change. Of course, Shane is motivated by something in the second season that Rick doesn't have in the fifth season: Lori. Shane's love for Lori manifests in ways that alter his perspective of things, and Rick never stoops to that level. But wait a minute, Rick actually does stoop near this level, because in Season 5, Rick is all about Pete's wife, Jessie. Rick's interest in Jessie forces him to acclimate to Alexandria and stay around, trying to make things work just like Shane did back at the farm for Lori. Rick gives Jessie special treatment over all the other members in Alexandria, doing tasks for her and wanting to protect her, just like Shane did back at the farm for Lori. Rick takes a drastic action to try and protect Jessie from Pete, just like Shane did back at the farm for Lori, albeit they were different circumstances. None of this is actually pointed out in the show, and yes, Shane's intentions were far less honorable than Rick's ever were, and Rick was never a true villain, but you cannot deny the parallels and symmetry that are there. So if you look at it like this, which I certainly do, because this whole storyline parallel is perhaps my favorite thing in all of The Walking Dead, one can surmise that Shane was really ahead of the curve in certain aspects, because Rick eventually became a pretty similar man. At the same time all of this is happening in Alexandria, unbeknownst to its inhabitants, trouble is brewing close by. For one, there's a horde of walkers that's about to break free from a nearby quarry, and there's also a group of savages called the Wolves. The group has to take on the most notorious group of villains the show has, walkers, while the Wolves attack Alexandria, leaving Carol and Morgan to deal with them all almost single-handedly. The leftover wolves that do escape are gunned down by Rick Grimes. This is when the larger world is introduced to the survivors, and eventually brings us to our next group of villains, the Saviors. The Saviors are perhaps the most well-known group of villains, for better or worse. When the Saviors are first introduced, they seem like a small group of bandits stealing stuff from other communities, so Rick hatches a plan like he's a twisted Robin Hood to stop the bad guys from stealing so that way the poor can have more. This doesn't exactly go to plan, and the Saviors are a much bigger threat than anticipated, all being led by their barbed wire baseball bat wielding leader.
Welcome to Maison Perrier. Feel elevated. Maison Perrier.
Negan. Negan is not only charismatic and funny, but he can be downright terrifying under the right circumstances. At this point in the show, the Saviors were by far the most powerful community the group has ever faced. They had the most people in the organization, had the most resources, weapons, food, the list goes on, and this was really shown to us in perhaps the most infamous episode, The Day Will Come When You Won't Be, which is a callback to something Dr. Jenner told Rick while escaping the CDC. In this episode, Negan kills two beloved and fan-favorite characters, forcing Rick to break down crying in front of him, and a large portion of the audience to quit watching the show. Negan, as a leader, is honestly quite effective. He has a devoted following of generals who truly believe in his approach, and then all of the underlings follow him mostly out of fear. One thing that a lot of people forget about is Negan's wives. He takes as many wives as he sees fit, even if their heart isn't in it and they're in love with other people. This is an aspect of the show that a lot of people have forgotten, most likely an intentional act by the writers of the show, but I'll get to why that is in a moment. The Saviors have rules and a code to follow, and anybody who breaks it faces harsh consequences. Take Dwight, for example. His punishment for trying to leave with Sherry was getting his face burned with an iron, and Sherry forced to marry Negan. But while Negan seemed despicably evil and most of the Saviors seemed like terrible people, there were a good number of people who joined the Saviors as a way out. We meet characters like Alden, who doesn't like Negan's leadership and doesn't agree with most of the people's morals and values, and eventually joins the Hilltop community. There's also Morales, a member of the Atlanta camp from all the way back in Season 1, who lost his family and saw the Saviors as the best option. Another example of somebody being too far gone. Once Rick takes a full season to gain the confidence to fight back, a war ensues. The combined forces of Alexandria, Hilltop, Kingdom, and Oceanside battle the Saviors and ultimately take down Negan, though their losses on the journey might have overshadowed the victory. In Season 9, we unfortunately wave goodbye to Rick Grimes just in time for the next group of big bad guys to come in, the Whisperers. If Too Far Gone was a picture, it's this. The Whisperers have completely let go of the world that they knew before, favoring a new one where the dead rule the Earth, and they rule the dead. Using manipulative tactics and maneuvers, the Whisperers gained access to the largest army on the planet, being able to sneak up on our group easily and command the army of the dead to take out any enemies in their path. Their leader Alpha proves to be a deadly opponent, and in the process of trying to get her daughter back that the group has welcomed into their home, Alpha takes drastic measures to take revenge. But our group doesn't back down easy, thinking that there's no way they'll lose to some masked lunatics, but oh boy, they were wrong. Not seeing any other way out of their situation, Carol turns to Negan in order to gain an advantage. Negan has been behind bars for the past 6 years, but Carol sends him in as a double agent to take down Alpha. Negan comes up successful, though he doesn't quite gain the trust of everybody around him, especially Maggie, whose husband was brutally murdered by Negan himself. While the Alpha has been dealt with, there is still the Beta, who was actually more menacing than Alpha was, though the combined strength of Daryl, Negan, and Maggie's new friends, the group takes him down as well. Though it takes some time, Negan is eventually not so warmly welcomed into the group. He's around for the highest of highs and even the lowest of lows, and realizes the mistakes he's made in the past, proving to many viewers that Negan, in fact, is not too far gone. Negan eventually leaves to do his own thing, and the group is introduced to the Commonwealth. A complete 180 from the Whisperers, and the closest thing we've seen to what the world was like before. People have jobs, not just killing walkers and farming, but like actual jobs that we see in our lives every day. The leader of the Commonwealth is Governor Pamela Milton, and we saw what happened the last time somebody called themselves governor. Didn't exactly end up so well, and Pamela Milton just completely breaks that trend, at least at first. When our group first arrives at the Commonwealth, Pamela actually isn't a villain. Sure, the way she runs things makes it so that the rich and powerful stay that way and the peasants stay peasants, but she isn't doing this in any malicious manner. There are some people that hold on to this power and use it for themselves, such as her son Sebastian Milton and the second in command, Lance Hornsby. Let's start with Sebastian, a bratty and annoying teenager that spells trouble for anybody who tries to cross him because of his connections. Eventually, some of Sebastian's shady ordeals come to light, and the people of the Commonwealth turn on him, and Pamela feels that she's losing control of the place that she worked so hard